Oh, you stabbed it. Yeah. Oh. To all the ladies in the house. Another day in the ghetto. Don't look outside and I'm already upset, yo. It looks about 102. It's Saturday and we ain't got nothing to do. I'm interested about phone ring. Sometimes I wish I never got the motherfucking thing. Hello, can I speak to Vicky? Who that's not Lisa? Your phone back, I'm busy. But don't you hit me on the box a little later? Watch the guy just hit the elevator. Steps out, it's the same old scene. Dope fiend, crack fiend, out with the new team. I'm a honey with the back looking for the thing. I don't see the back with the low like oh. Sitting on dick with the Lucy right left stick. That's the one I got the big
All right, hey everyone, good morning. Good morning, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. My name's Ethan. What's yours? Yes. Well, we're gonna have fun this morning. Kind of an old school, kind of throwback morning show. Good morning, Anime Slayer, Proctor Hawk. I see you guys, Captain Deadpool, Jedi Knight, and Friend Dualita. Oh, I love my members. We got some members in here. Jesus A. Sabalas Jr. Yes, hello. Good morning. Charlie's London. Got to give a shout out to my members, channel members. You guys are supporting all this. I appreciate you. Yes, all right. Can I get with you? All right, we got an interesting show today. I don't know if you guys are aware of all this, but super lawyer Mark ZAID is all over the news right now, and it's pretty funny. We knew about this. You know, me and Zach got emails from the same person this morning. And it was just like, hey, guys, this is huge. Like, this is gigantic. Are you aware? Are you aware of this? And yeah, we were aware of this one thing. We're so nice. I mean, me and Zach we're so nice. Let me let Narwhal in here. Narwhal, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Good morning. It's evening for me, but yeah.
Oh, it's evening. You haven't been to bed yet. Okay. All right. I went to bed. I swear to God, I watched War Campaign until I couldn't anymore. I drank an entire bottle of wine last night. I went, you know what? I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating something. I'm celebrating life. And I just drank it till I watched most of War Campaign and then just passed out. You know, I don't know. Woke up this morning. War Campaign stream is privated, so that means it didn't go well at the end. I got to find out what happened with those guys.
They call that a blue dolphin.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's the worst thing ever. Like, and listen, you know, I'm a YouTube fan, and you know, the people that I follow, I'm completely sympathetic with this now. I know why I get yelled at. I know why my subscribers yell at me, because when I do a live stream and take it down, you know, because I didn't like the way it turned out, or for whatever reason, or just for the algorithm, it's got to be infuriating. You know the name of the stream, you know it's there, you know you missed it, you want to watch it, and you can't. And it's like, well, that's how it is with War Campaign. Adam Friended did it to us yesterday. Me and Andrea woke up, and there was an Adam Friended video called "Can Doug Tenaple Just Stop Lying?" And it was down. He took it down, and we were just like, what? Now he put it right back up again, which we appreciate. But
that's good. You know. I saw that one. Yeah, you can create some buzz maybe by taking it down and putting it back up. Give the people what they want.
I guess the answer is no. He can't. You know, he cannot stop lying. Question answered. But yeah, it is infuriating. So in any case, I woke up and got this message, Narwhal, from a rather famous commenter. Okay, who's COMICSGATE sympathetic, and you know, he just said, you guys, this is big. This is big. And I was like, well, you know, what? And he had something that me and Zach knew about, but we're so nice. Like we just kind of go, well, you know, there's got to be some explanation for this. You know, obviously, he probably lets his kids use his YouTube. Narwhal, do you know? First of all, Narwhal, do you know who Mark ZAID is? Are you aware of all this?
Yeah, he's representing Mark Wade, but he's also the lawyer for the whistleblower.
That's right. He just found, like, Mark ZAID is like an attention-seeking, ambulance-chasing, you know, lawyer who just wants to be on MSNBC. If he could just be one of those talking heads on CNN to bash Trump for whatever reason, he will. Mark ZAID is such a weirdo. The more you dig into his past, you know, the more alarming it becomes. He actually sued to have, you know, to have the assassin of Abraham Lincoln, Booth, John Wilkes Booth. He sued to have him exhumed because the historical account of how John Wilkes Booth actually died and when wasn't good enough for Mark ZAID. Mark ZAID wanted further proof for his own eyes, so he wanted, you know, John Wilkes Booth to be exhumed so that he could prove to himself and others that John Wilkes Booth didn't die shortly after he assassinated the president of the United States. He died much later, like in the 1930s.
So that's not even like a conspiracy theory. That's just ramblings of a mad lawyer.
Yeah, it's insanity. He well, I mean, look, he believes it. He's the guy. You know what it is? Here's what I think it is about Mark ZAID. I really think Mark ZAID sees himself as David Duchovny in the X-Files. I've always felt that way about him. Like, I really think because he's the guy who's suing the government about UFOs. You know what I mean? Like, what do you know about UFOs? And so, of course, you know, that's the guy. He's involved with the whistleblower. He's, you know, in 2017, people found tweets from Mark ZAID. First of all, he's virulently anti-Trump. Of course he is. You know, of course he is. And so people found tweets from him in 2017 talking about a coup that's already underway that he's a part of. You know, just really strange stuff. But in any case, because he is now in the national news, people are examining him in a way that, you know, we did, COMICSGATE did, and we kind of came to some conclusions about him last year, a year ago today, Narwhal.
So I didn't know this is kind of old news. You already knew this. That's interesting. That's kind of funny. The whole thing at this point is just, it's funny, basically. Mark ZAID.
It's funny it's funny and tragic. So let me introduce you to Mark ZAID. He's not here. We're gonna look at his Twitter. I would love it if Mark ZAID would actually come on my show.
I know this evening I saw tweets from Mike Cernovich and Mark Dice about about what
spoiler alert. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what you know, me and Zach were alerted to this morning. So we knew about this. We talked about this as a community, as a family, the COMICSGATE family. When Mark ZAID was hired by Mark Wade, okay, to you know, to defend against what he had done to your boy Zach, we looked into him a little bit. We thought he was funny. It's too kind of comic booky that Mark Wade hired Mark ZAID. So we looked into him, and of course we found his YouTube channel. And on his YouTube channel, liked videos. Now, here's the thing. God, top 10 prettiest Disney Channel stars. Look at these are children. Top 10 Disney girls. Selena Gomez, from child to woman. This is
the
alarming.
only three videos he ever liked.
Those are the only 3 videos he ever liked. Now, most people, he's a boomer. He's not going to be able to understand this, but you can turn off your liked videos, you know? So it's like, if you like a video, you can make it so that they're not public, so that people can't see what it is that you're liking. But he's such a boomer that, like, he doesn't know how to do that. I think, did he take down his YouTube page? I don't know. He may have taken down his YouTube page just to hide this fact. But this is extremely embarrassing. Is it embarrassing? Is that the right word for being an adult lawyer and having this appear? Now Zach and I, we kind of said, well, maybe he's got kids. because, you know, look, my kids use my YouTube all the time, and thus what you'll find is the ABC alphabet train videos. You know, you'll find that. You'll find Badu Namu, which I didn't know what that was, but it's like singing penguins. You'll find stuff like that all over my YouTube, because, like in my recommended videos, because that's what Ava's watching. It's like, the question is, does Mark Zaid have kids? And is that why but wait a second. Why would a kid like this video, Selena Gomez from Child to Woman?
I know that's not exactly the kind of stuff they click on, like Elsa, you know, whatever type stuff. But yeah, I checked the thread on some of those tweets, and that a lot of the people in the threads were saying he doesn't have kids.
He doesn't.
There were pictures of him going to Disneyland by himself, so that's weird.
So this is the thing. All right. Let's go. We scroll down here and we find first of all, I love it. Look at this. One does not need kids to be all the Disney one needs and wants to be. What the fuck? What is this? He's not oh my god.
You know, the other thing I saw was a tweet from Douglas Ernst to Mark Zaid, and he said, Mark Zaid, is this your YouTube? Because I want to comment on it if it is. And then Mark Zaid took it down right after that, but everyone had already archived it. You know? Of
course, you know, we want to keep this stuff. We want to figure out who this guy is. I guess it's one thing to go to Disney by yourself. I went to Disney by myself because I was in Florida and I wanted to do a live stream of Star Wars shit and just make fun of it. And that was one thing. I don't recall. Look at him taking pictures with all. Sir, these are teenagers in costumes. You understand? That's not you don't need. This is for children. Like, this is what children are supposed to do. You know, they are the ones who take pictures with the. Okay, all right. So in any case, Mark Zaid does not have any kids at all, and thus, you know, these. It just brings a new light. It just brings new context, I suppose, to what are you doing? Why are you? Look at this. Oh, hell, another pervert. Yeah. Just brings new light to, you know, these liked videos. Top 10 prettiest Disney Channel stars. Those are children. Those are like the Disney Channel has children. They're like 14, 13, 15.
Yeah. Is that so that channel, it says it's a channel called Selena Gomez. I don't know. That channel seems creepy in itself, just that video, because that's, again, not exactly targeted towards girls necessarily. Maybe it is.
Yeah, I don't know who it's targeted at. Yeah, seriously, who is this top 10 prettiest Disney Channel stars? What little girl is going to click on that? I guess a little boy could click on it, you know.
Yeah.
15. Top 10 Disney girls. But this one here, this one is bad news. Selena Gomez from Child to Woman.
Yeah, that's a little red flaggy.
That's a little odd, right? And the picture of her in the thumbnail is a little. I don't know.
Again, that's kind of like, what's that video existence, like its target audience is probably just kind of creepy boomers or whatever, you know. Mark Zaid-esque people.
I love it. This is it. I love the fact that at this point Mark Zaid is getting public scrutiny. This guy is a strange fellow. I think I'll be nice and say that he's a strange fellow. He's kind of like what I would call a nerd bully. He's a nerdy guy. He's a weirdo, and he's been bullying COMICSGATE for a year now. And I went back and I just thought, just for fun, Narwhal, we could go through that and just watch COMICSGATers kicking this loser's ass upside down over the course of many months.
Yeah, that'd be good, because I missed a lot of those details. I just caught the broad strokes of that story. That I know he was hired on by Mark Waid. We're still kind of waiting on some of the developments there. I think I haven't heard much new.
Yeah. Well, okay. So look, to start with, I think it's important to understand that Mark Zaid is he's a connected and powerful lawyer, even though he's a clown. He's a connected and powerful. Ooh, I like your mug. Merry Christmas, Narwhal.
Oh yeah, 'tis the season. Thank you. Cheers. This is just water, but yeah, late night little sip before in the evening.
I
Oh,
got
yeah.
a mug too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, blocked by EBS. I guess some anti-comic skaters made these mugs to celebrate being blocked by me.
Yeah, it's the Chihuahua with the blue wig, whatever that emoji.
Bottoms up. I had to get one. It's got my frog emoji on it, and I thought that was pretty nice. In any case, yeah. So your boy Zach is suing Mark Waid. Now, here's why. This is for people who aren't familiar with what's going on, who've just come into COMICSGATE, who are unclear about the whole situation. Your boy Zach had a YouTube channel called Diversity in Comics. He was fighting the SJW dominance in comics. He was trying to point out that this stuff was all going downhill. The art form was suffering. There was no more entertainment to be found in these comics. He was basically just pointing out SJW tropes in comics. Because of that, SJWs went absolutely ballistic and tried to ruin his life. Many of them said, if you have so many criticisms about what we're doing, why don't you do your own comics? And your boy Zach said, challenge accepted. I wanted to do that anyway, so I'm going to do my own comic. It's called Jawbreakers Lost Souls. I'd like a publisher. Now, Antarctic Press stepped forward and said, we'll publish you. Antarctic Press actually stepped forward and tried to publish me too, Narwhal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they somebody over there, okay, contacted me and said that Antarctic Press is going to be the new Republican publisher in comics. We're going to publish all these Republicans. And I said, oh, well, thanks. I'll consider it. But I wasn't really looking for it. But Zach wanted a publisher, and he had a deal with Antarctic Press. Now, Mark Waid heard that your boy Zach dared. I mean, think about this now. I mean, things have really quieted down with COMICSGATE. Things have really quieted down. I think the mainstream, even though the mainstream still hates us, I think they accept our intrusion at this point, right?
Yeah, I don't see it too much in the Twitter sphere. Like, I think the odd Gail Simone talking shit kind of floats up of her just being like, they're eating each other, LOL.
Yeah. No, it's just the same. It's just, we're not eating each other. We're still, COMICSGATE is still fighting the same type of person.
Yeah, but we've been like self, perpetuating and filtering it since the beginning. It's been in flux and kind of hardening to a diamond.
Yeah, of course. In any case, things have kind of settled down, but there was a time when the idea of a comic skater putting out his own comic book in the comic book, like just being allowed to be in a comic shop, caused such outrage. Like, these people could not tolerate it. It was ridiculous. They wouldn't stand for it, and they had to put a stop to it. And of course, Mark Waid, who is a dummy. Mark Waid is dumb. He's really dumb. He's immature. The reason why Mark Waid's immature is because, I think he's highly intelligent but emotionally volatile. He was advanced through high school. I think he went to college at age 14. And, I don't think he ever had it. You gotta be around your peers. You gotta get your ass kicked a little bit. You gotta kind of, grow up properly. I think if you Doogie Howser your way through life, something's going to be wrong. Something's going to be left behind. So Mark Waid decided to take it on himself to make sure that this one individual was not going to be able to get a comic book published. That was what he decided to do. So he called up Antarctic Press, presumably in the middle of the night, and I think it was at night. He called up the publisher, and he basically said, look, there's a roaring army of, there's an angry mob with pitchforks and torches, and I'm holding them back right now, but I'm telling you, if you publish your boy Zach, I'm not going to be able to control that mob anymore, and they're going to come, burn down Antarctic Press. And the publisher of it, God, everything seems so weird now. The publisher of Antarctic Press started to cry. Started to get very, very, literally started to cry, and called up Zach and said, look, I've never faced this kind of abuse before, this kind of harassment. I don't think I can publish Jawbreakers. So, Zach was angry. I remember I was pissed, dude. I was furious when that happened. He decided to sue. He decided to sue Mark Waid for tortious interference. And also he caught Mark Waid going around calling him a white supremacist at these comic book conventions. He would sit on a pulpit, Mark Waid, and just talk about how Zach was a white supremacist. Zach's no white supremacist, you know.
And didn't Mark Waid like brag about it on Facebook the next day, and we got that receipt? And
yeah. See, Mark Waid is so stupid, and the comic book industry is so dumb. I mean, it's just so dumb. It's full of, like, again, emotionally volatile, gigantic children who don't have any children, like Mark ZAID. They're just a-holes, mostly. I would say, when Zach says that the comic book industry has produced some of the worst people in the world, he's 100% right. And
yeah, he says they're worse than ISIS.
They're worse than ISIS and Al Qaeda. I love when he says stuff like that. It's true. It is true. So he's suing Mark Waid for tortious interference and for defamation. Lo and behold, Mark ZAID is hired by Mark Waid, and he begins to start trouble. And Zach, has to hire a lawyer. And of course, I want to remind people, and I'll be reminding. I'm going to do a long kind of live stream today, Narwhal. I want to remind people during the course of this that this lawsuit is still underway. It's still underway. I don't know how long this is gonna go for. But please do remember that we have a GoFundMe. It's linked in the description below. Your boy Zach still needs money. He's burning through this money. This money isn't being spent on anything except for lawyers' fees. And Mark Waid is stalling. He's doing everything that he can do. This case is a layup. I mean, it really, tortious interference, it's a layup. Mark Waid is so stupid that he actually left a paper trail all over the internet. He did this and he bragged about it. It's just open and shut, this case. And I think everybody knows it. And once, all right, so here's the thing. Like, Zach has an option. I'm sure that these people would love to settle. Okay, they would love to settle, and we can't let him do it.
Yeah, because settling, even if he gets like a good amount of money, part of the settlement would be he has to keep his mouth shut about it or something like that. And we probably don't want that. We want this to be a resounding victory, Do
the math. That's correct. That's what you're paying for. Comics Gators, that is what you're paying for. When you donate $50, $100, $15, another $15. Thank you guys, $10. What you're paying for is you're paying for your right to see justice done in this case. You're contributing. You're
setting
throwing a punch.
Setting the precedent, will benefit us all in the future to have this, to win this first battle. Isn't that one of the laws, the art of war? It's like win the first battle to win them all. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. This one needs to be won. This one needs to be won. And I think that we've lost sight of this case in the midst of the I Stand With Vic Weebor stuff. And I think that's a shame because that case was a lot more complicated and a lot more subtle in a lot of ways than this one is. This one is a straight up layup. This is just a slam dunk. And, all they can really do is stall. But Zach needs to win this. Zach needs to actually win this case. We have authoritarians. We have these weird little monsters in the comic book industry that think that they can decide who gets to open a hot dog stand and where. And that's not something that I'm willing to tolerate. That doesn't seem like something that, anybody with conscience, anybody of goodwill, anybody who believes in freedom and liberty, I don't think anybody should tolerate that. And think about it. If your boy Zach loses this case, you are ceding. We are, as a society, as an industry, as a little comic book club, we are ceding control. We are ceding our rights to do comics over to social justice warriors. What they say goes in that case.
Yeah, and like the word tortious interference, I wouldn't have known what that meant until this case comes along. But like you can look at the case and you'd be like, we need a word for that, for what Mark Waid just did. And it's like, oh, that concept. So that seems to mean it's like, it feels like a layup to me too. Like And I like to see some of the arguments on Twitter about when people are saying it's not tortious interference, and they were making fools of themselves, kind of.
Yeah. We like at this point, like I didn't know anything about tortious interference either. Now I do. Now I feel like I know a lot about it because I've listened carefully about what it is, and this is a textbook case of that. It's also fun to see like people of ill will trying to threaten tortious interference in other cases. Now, tortious interference has become like a rallying cry almost. It's become a meme, you know, in and of itself. Tortious interference.
Get another mug that says that on it or something.
TI. So this is tortious interference. So we're going to see what happens with this case. So it really does depend on you guys. If you have $5 that you can spare, if you have $10, if you are much, you know, if you are in a, you know, better situated and you can afford to donate more, something more substantial. He's got a $200,000 goal. I think that'll get him to trial, which is what we need to see happen in this case. We got to shut these people down. They cannot be allowed. They cannot be permitted to behave this way.
Do you know the next checkpoint in the news for this case? Is it like a few months and then we'll know something, or the judge has to say something? Or
I actually don't know. You know, I haven't talked to Zach about this in a little while, but I do. It's funny. It's like Mark ZAID being in the news has re-energized me to talk about this case. You know, it's like when Zach and I talk, we're talking about our comic books now, which is quite healthy. You know, we're talking about our plans for the, you know, what we're doing for Cyberfrog, for Jawbreakers, and for other projects. And we haven't really talked about the case in a little while because it just seems like it's in a holding pattern. But I will ask him today.
Do you remember back in the day, COMICSGATE? There were hit pieces written on COMICSGATE, and your boy Zach and you in like Washington Post, BBC, New York Times. And then it all is kind of faded. But then it's funny that Mark ZAID, he's like, you know, representing this whistleblower in this national case. And we're like, yeah, that's our guy. He's a villain in COMICSGATE.
Yeah, he is our guy. Now here's Mark ZAID talking about, this is an example. By the way, the thing about COMICSGATE, just to reorient, and as you can see, this was a year ago, November 2nd, 2018, just to reorient ourselves, because COMICSGATE, you know, we are turning, you know, we're trying to decide what COMICSGATE means, and a lot of us are disagreeing. There's a lot of infighting on Twitter, and it is a complete shame, and it's a waste of time, because we really do, I think we really do have the same goals, and we should kind of try to work together and not send each other videos of animals being tortured and mutilated. That would be nice. But you know, when you actually go back and look, when we have a common enemy, and this is serious, I mean, this is serious stuff here, then I think we work together pretty well. This is Mark ZAID announcing. He says, my client, Mark Wade, was sued by a leader in COMICSGATE. Zach is a leader in COMICSGATE. I don't think anybody's going to deny that. He's a thought leader, wouldn't you say? I mean,
yeah, THOT.
Yeah, he's a thought leader. That hoe over there. He's sued by a thought leader in COMICSGATE, in the COMICSGATE movement, who promotes bigotry, hatred, and intolerance. Do you understand the way these people talk about us? This is intolerable. The idea that any of us promote bigotry, hatred, and intolerance of anything other than social justice warriors. And by the way, it's your choice to be a social justice warrior. I'm not sure. You weren't born a social justice warrior. You became an asshole. You can choose to stop being an a-hole.
One of the things that can make you SJW is going to college when you're 14. I feel like that too. Not getting enough wedgies in middle school or whatever.
You need to hang out with the guys a little bit more. So we promote bigotry, hatred, and intolerance according to this jackass. We learned today, isn't this interesting? We learned today he has deleted much of his online past, particularly on Twitter, and this is after he filed a public lawsuit. Why does everyone think that is? I don't know, Mark ZAID. Why did you delete your...
Mark ZAID's like, I have nothing to hide. Here's my Disney photos of me alone because I really like Disney, and here are my 3 likes on YouTube.
That's right. That's right. It's nothing to hide, I guess. I guess people who delete their social media past have something to hide, according to Mark ZAID.
I feel like most lawyers, they don't tweet a bunch, you know, if they're in the middle of a case, because you tell your client like, hey, don't tweet too much about it. And then the lawyer wouldn't do that either. But Mark Zaid's just tweeting up a storm.
Yeah, Mark Zaid is a media vampire. This guy actually does want this kind of attention. And I mean, he will, like, he's so small that like he's gonna pick fights with me. You know, he's gonna, like, we've gotten into Twitter battles that have been pretty extensive, and you know, we'll go over them. I think we're gonna talk about it because this guy is, I think he's the definition of thin-skinned. I think so, but also he's just kind of he's what I would call a nerd bully. He's a nerd who wants to bully people. Kind
of like Mark Wade there.
Yeah, it's a strange phenomenon. It's like you are a nerd and you have decided that you want to be a bully. It's interesting. So anyway, yeah. So delete all this stuff. Fascinating. Mark Zaid is basically saying that, look, you delete your social media when you have something that you want to hide. Yeah, okay, you know, and that's insight into the Disney princesses. Not only this guy's arguing with Mark Zaid. Thing is that tortious interference is not the only claim in the lawsuit. Case includes defamation. So plaintiff's past reputation, including diversity in comics, are directly on trial and completely intertwined. I remember when Zach deleted some of his videos. Zach went through a weird thing that I tried to talk him out of. Zach started to feel bad about saying that Mags Visaggio was a man in a Party City wig. He started to feel bad about saying that, you know, Heather Antos was a cum dumpster. Now, these people, even though those are cruel, you would think that those are cruel things to say. No, they're moderate things to say about people who invested all of their time, resources, and power. And somebody like Heather Antos had significant power in the comic book industry to not only make it impossible for him to work in comics, but Heather Antos actually organized secretly and privately to take down Zach's Patreon, which was earning him about $1,200 a month at the time, and to smear him as a white supremacist. She also organized with people to invade his Facebook page and basically, you know, create an album of personal your boy Zach photographs. I mean, this stuff looks like stalker crazy lunacy. And so she smeared him. The main thing was she smeared him online as a white supremacist. Now, Zach responded to having Heather Antos talk about Zach because he was in Virginia on the day of the Heather Heyer catastrophe, the white supremacist march. He happened to be driving through there, and he did a video where he was going to give KKK guy a copy of Black Panther. You know, Zach is not a white supremacist at all. Heather Antos took that and tried to smear him as a white supremacist that was attending that rally. You are a cum dumpster if you do something like that.
I remember that. Yeah.
You can call Heather Antos whatever you want to call her when she spends her time trying to deplatform you, trying to take away your means of making a living. She doxed where he worked. Luckily, it was where he used to work. Zach used to work for PayPal. Heather Antos found that out, and then she had all of her friends call PayPal and try to get him fired from PayPal.
Yeah.
And then to smear him as a white supremacist. And Zach is such a good guy that he felt bad. He felt guilty about calling Heather Antos a cum dumpster. That's the kind of guy Zach is. And I had to tell him, I said, Zach, you can call this person whatever you want, and don't let anybody convince you otherwise. You were done wrong by this person.
Yeah. And that move of trading blows like that, but then one person turns tail and starts playing victim. I mean, we've seen that a lot online. It's like a go-to move. Like, you know, Mike and Edwin are kind of doing it versus War Campaign now. And
yeah. They, you know, they'll attack. And the minute somebody comes back and responds, then they kind of cry that they're a victim. It is would you call it a gamma move? Would you call it gamma male behavior, or gamma behavior at all? Yeah, it is. That's, you know, that's what that is.
Yeah, Heather Antos is a gamma male for show.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so let's go back to this. Yeah, Zach started deleting some of his videos because he just felt bad about them, and he felt that and it's a shame. I wish somebody had mirrored them because they were great. But he felt like those videos still being on YouTube was mean. Like, he thought he was being mean to the people who were trying to destroy his life. He was criticizing their comic books. He was Zach was criticizing the way the comic book industry was not rewarding based on talent or skill or merit, but were actually giving jobs to people who didn't deserve them based on identity politic reasons. Well, I want to look like I support transgendered people, so I'm going to give as many trans phonies jobs as I possibly can so that it looks like I care.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that one video with there's a really talented African American writer, and they're only hiring him to write black characters. And
yeah, I by the way, it's always white people that are doing this. This is the, like, you know, the word white supremacy has kind of, you know, even Mark Wade said when he was being deposed, he said, well, white supremacy is on a scale, it's on a spectrum. Okay, so by that you know measure, you can call anything white supremacy, but I will actually legitimately call white people giving people what you would call marginalized people jobs that they don't deserve just to make them feel good about themselves. I would call that white supremacy. I would call that I'm the boss and I get to assign, you know, work. I get to change people's lives. I get to raise up marginalized people. You know what? I don't see you moving over. I don't see you giving up your seat for a marginalized person. Yeah. I see you being the one who gets to decide. That's what I see. And I call that white supremacy. Well, totally. I don't, but
we see that a lot from Mark Wade. He's like, I need to stand up for these underprivileged people, these people of lesser means and abilities. And we're like, what?
Yeah, I want to, you know, it's the same thing. They create these characters. You know, it's fascinating to me that people like Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Wade create black superheroes, and they don't even ask themselves, well, what kind of power fantasies do black people have? What they do is they invest these characters with things that they're okay with black people being like having as power fantasies. Like, well, this person's super smart and they're really good at, like, they're geniuses. She's 14 years old and she's a genius, and she can use her laptop so effectively that she can hack into OA.
She's actually the smartest in the entire Marvel universe.
Yeah, it's like
Dinosaur Girl, they say that.
Yeah, everyone's super smart. You know what? I think if you actually talk to black people and said, what are your power fantasies? They'd say, we wish we could fly and smash through brick walls and then shoot fire from our hands. I'm pretty sure that's what black people's power fantasies consist of. The same as white people, but you've got white people actually creating these characters and trying to pin them down and saying, this is what I want for you. And that's what that is. That's white people. That's whitey creating these black characters or characters that are marginalized based on marginalized people and saying, this is what I think it's okay for you to aspire to. You know, yeah. That's the kind of power that I want you to wish that you had, to be smarter, to be smarter. What does that say? What does that say about their impulses? What does that say about where they're coming from? It is white supremacy.
Yeah, I think it was Dan Slott, but it's one of the Marvel guys. They looked at Art Tiber's book, Black and White, and they were like, a book with black in the title where the main character isn't a black guy? What are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, Mark Wade did that book called, what was it called? Damn it. Black people got mad at him for it. He did a book about, what's it called? Shit. Strange Brew. What was it? What was that comic book called? Somebody in the chat's going to tell me. But he did a comic book about, you know, what it was like to be a black superhero. Mark Wade, J.G. Jones painted it, and it outraged black people. And black people who responded to Mark Wade critically, Mark Wade started yelling at him, just like he would to anybody. Strange Fruit. Strange Fruit. Yeah.
Oh,
look that
yeah.
up. That's hilarious. Strange Fruit. Let me get a tissue. I think I've got a cold, Narwhal.
It's been going around. Maybe it's jumping all over the nation.
I try not to leave the house. You know what I mean? Like, why do I get sick? I try not to leave the house. I guess the kids come home.
They're
and
Trojan horse, yeah.
Yeah.
Your children are Trojan horses.
Ridiculous. Jack Straw's in the chat. He says, Hail Caesar. Mick Adams says, gay fruits? No, not gay fruits. Strange fruits. I said strange brew. Yeah, I knew it was strange something or other. Strange Brew is a Cream album, isn't it? I think it is. I don't know. All right, let me read some super chats here. We'll get back to this in a second. I want to stay on top of super chats and all that stuff. Scarlet Crusader is a new member. Thank you for joining the channel. Ferd Turgeson, thank you for Zar $7. I don't know what Zar is. ZAR. I don't know what these where people are coming from. But you know what? When you're live streaming at 6 in the morning, you assume that you're speaking to the other side of the planet. Maybe that's not so smart to do a live stream about Mark Zaid at 6 a.m. when only Europe is awake. Charlie's London's excited. She says, yes, finally made a stream. You will love this, EVS. About to go teach a lesson on JFK and the civil rights movement. With JFK, bet you'd be my A student. I would, and I would teach your kids that JFK didn't give a damn about civil rights. He didn't. He didn't care. JFK thought it was a nuisance. He was like, why can't they just settle down? JFK gets credit for the civil rights movement now. I think he was kind of cornered into having to do something when, who was it? God, Alabama mayor, Alabama governor. They were going to integrate the schools in Alabama. And the governor decided he was going to stand in the way of the kids going into the school, these 2 black kids. And so JFK had to get involved. There's a good documentary about it called Crisis. That's when JFK kind of had to make a move, but he was annoyed by it. Johnny Dollar says TMT versus Cyberfrog equals tortoise interference. That should be the, that's, if we ever do a crossover, it'll be called tortoise interference. Peter Gilmore, thank you for 10 pounds. He says, starting this Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll have John Malin joining us as co-host of our COMICSGATE live show over on Mandy Summers' channel. Grab an oar and help us sell some comics. Hail Caesar, hail Narwhal, hail War Campaign. So hail Narwhal. I like that.
Hail
indeed. Narwhal, I'm actually working on the cover for Vestige. Speaking of War Campaign, you know about Vestige, right?
Yeah, that's their book, and it's over 60K. It's doing good.
It's doing good. I hope it'll do better. I've got the cover here. I think it's like 45% done. But here it is. I had to get in there, and they said she was holding an 1876 Winchester rifle. So I made sure to pay special attention to that rifle and make sure that I got it accurate,
Yeah.
Also, I opened her shirt up.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful.
Which Donald didn't do. Donald, open her shirt up, for goodness sakes. It's like if you have a female character like that, they did that to me at DC Comics. Like they had, what was her name? Ceranic Natu. And Sinestro's daughter. And then she had like the way her costume was designed, her boobs were hanging out. And I got to draw that for one issue before DC Comics said, stop that. And they made me zip it up to her neck. And I was like, why?
Zippers aren't meant for comics. Donald, take out at least one button. That's what.
Yes.
Maybe in the
Pop
middle.
that shirt open. So that kind of thing is totally lame. But I do want to say to everyone, if you haven't backed Vestige yet, you're going to get my cover on this. Vestige #1 graphic novel. Link is in the description. Make sure to back this comic book. I'm going to see this get to 60. Can we get this to 65? It was at 60 and change. And then, since I started talking about it, it's bumped up to 62,000. If you guys haven't backed this one yet, make sure that you do. It's drawn by Donald DeLay. I gotta look at this. Cover art by Ethan Van Sciver, Caesar of Comicsgate, the Human Sunbeam professional DC Comics artist pro of 25 years. That's quite a lot of, the Human Sunbeam. And we argue. We're like, no, Comicsgate isn't a cult. I'm just the Human Sunbeam. I'm just Caesar.
Yeah.
It sounds like something the North Koreans would say. I don't even know why we do this.
My favorite handle of yours was Gaius Caesar Augustus Comicsgatus.
Yes. Instead of Germanicus, Comicsgatus. I'm Caligula now. I've decided that I'm Caligula. No mercy. No mercy.
So wait, is Caligula one of the Caesars? Is that what it is?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
He was Caesar. He was that name that you read. It was that's Caligula's real name, but his real name's Germanicus. Okay, so he had all these other titles attached to him, Caesar Germanicus, And he was called Caligula. Caligula means little boots. So he used to, I guess he was just a little soldier as a kid. And so the other centurions called him Little Boots. Caligula.
Is he famous for any like movies or famous stories?
Yeah. Yes, he is, Narwhal. Yes, he is. Caligula was brutal and cruel. He was a sadist. There's a it's porn, so I want to warn you about that. But there's a movie called Caligula that came out. It was directed or produced by the publisher of Penthouse magazine, and it was written by Gore Vidal, so another pervert, another weirdo, and it actually is XXX rated. It's a real movie, but there's penetration scenes and there's BJs and all kinds of stuff like that. Caligula was he was an interesting Caesar. He was a very interesting Caesar. So I have called myself Caligula now, which means I'm chopping off heads, which means I am filling people's bellies with wine until they burst and then cutting them open with a gladius.
Nice.
That's what Caligula did. Yeah. And he also made people drink molten gold, which is also not nice.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. They stole that for Game of Thrones.
Yes. Yeah. Malcolm McDowell and Helen Mirren were in Caligula. Go ahead and watch that. It's pretty good. So if you want to support the art of what did I call myself? Julius Caesar, I can't remember, Augustus Germanicus COMICSGATE. This is where you can get it. Links in the description. Look at these interior art pages by Donald DeLay.
Yeah, those are amazing.
But look, her shirt's buttoned up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just one button, Donald. That's all we ask. Just one button.
Pop that one right there. I would pop both of them, to be honest with you. I popped both of these buttons. Oh, well, I did. I did pop both of them open. Why not?
What if that was a form of panhandling where you were just shaking a mug full of blouse buttons and you're asking women to unbutton their blouse? That's what Mark ZAID would do.
Yes.
At Disneyland.
At Disneyland. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. I judging from his YouTube likes history, I'm not so sure that that's where his interests lie, but we'll leave that there. Look at that beautiful artwork by Donald DeLay. Obviously a little late night. This is nudity, but it's it's art, right? I mean, the lady of the lake.
A little side boob.
A little side boob, a little booty. She's got Excalibur. God, I wish I had Excalibur. If I had Excalibur, I would chop so many people's heads off. I don't think I'd ever be able to stop, I'd be like, yeah, but the sword is so nice, just chopping people's heads off. So Donald DeLay did the interior art for this, which means, oh, look at this fight scene. It's just brutal. I love Donald DeLay.
Yeah. And who's the wizard? I can't think of his name.
Gat Hanzo.
Yeah, Gat Hanzo is a great writer. And then Pan has a little GoFundMe now too, because he's got a court thing going on.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to do a whole video about that.
Cool.
Don't think I haven't thought about that. So this is the thing. The epic story, mixing historical accuracy and fantasy adventure. Vestige links the events of history through the influence of legendary weapons of the past and how the vestige imbued within each of these relics might influence the direction of the future for the soon-to-be modern world. These legendary weapons, these relics, convey sometimes vast powers to those who possess them, transforming ordinary mortals into superhumans with supernatural abilities. It's a pretty cool idea. So all of these legendary weapons of the past, those are kind of the stars of the book. This character's named Maddie, and once again, I'm privileged to get to do the cover for this. Narwhal, you get to do covers all the time.
Yeah, because I got that Narwhal style, so it's like its own brand, and people, if you want, like, you can picture what you're gonna get kind of ahead of time. So because I was able to kind of have this unique style so if people want their character narwhalized, then they can come to me. So I have a little like mini steady stream of commissions. I enjoy it. I love COMICSGATE for that, and all the ways all the networking and everyone like overlaps with projects. And there was a cool good example is for the Zombie College of the Dead Volume 2. Adam Post hired me because he liked a specific panel of Earthbound, and we just took that panel, direct homage over, and then zombified it, and that became his poster.
Wow. You know what? I I haven't hired you yet, really, and I should because you're. By the way, everyone, people are backing it. Thank you, guys. I should hire you because your take on Cyberfrog is extraordinary. I loved your Cyberfrog. I only got to see it, I think, once or twice at first. Then we got you to do some trading cards. I want to see an actual story.
Oh yeah, man, that'd be sweet. But yeah, like, that's our origin story kind of is I was following ComicsGate and all that, but I drew fan art of Cyberfrog. You saw it and had me on, and it was my day one of the Earthbound campaign. And yeah, my life changed forever from that moment. But
A lot of people are saying, dude, it was one of my favorite interpretations of Cyberfrog. That what you did was like one of my favorites. And
thank you. Yeah, like a little more animation-y, a little more like mobile, or I don't know.
You look like a frog.
Yours has great, amazing poses and stuff. Yours is kind of like so much detail. I took out some of the detail.
Well, yeah, you took out the detail. You just made him like alive. You made him fluid. I would say that's the, I would say that your drawings are fluid. I'm not seminal fluid. I mean like fluid, like they move. You don't want to use that word fluid. Fluid.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it means
it's moist.
Liquid,
my drawings are very moist.
Yeah, that's not what I mean. I
my
mean
drawings are drippy.
Yeah, no, they're not drippy. They're full of movement. They're alive. They're electric. So I loved your Cyberfrog drawing. I got to get you to do a story. I've got 3 artists doing stories. Did you know that?
No, that's cool though. That's a good idea to kind of keep the ball rolling and getting the page counts up, the content flowing.
Well, I want to do. Well, I'm going to do like a whole extra Cyberfrog book, like that I wrote, and I will do the cover for. But I'm not drawing. I'm having some of my favorite ComicsGate artists draw them. Do you want to know who they are?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I've got EJ Morges.
Oh yeah,
EJ's just fantastic. Absolutely love EJ Morges. I got him doing a 10-page Cyberfrog story. I got Vinny T doing a 5-pager that's going to center around Heather Swain.
Oh, he could draw Heather perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And then I got Kyung Lee scheduled to do a 10-pager.
Sweet. Yeah, those are some good all-stars. EJ's kind of like not, I don't know if he's famous yet, but he will be soon if he's not.
Yeah, it's like I talked to EJ, and EJ's like, I'm working a 9 to 5, and like I was like, so what's your page rate? And he's like, he goes, and I'll just tell this out of school, it doesn't matter. He goes, well, last time I really worked for a page rate was back in the Xenoscope days, like 2003 or 2005. He's like, and it was $50 a page for pencils and inks. Well, like, Jesus Christ. Like, those are starvation wages. I can't stand like the indie comics industry. Like,
yeah, that's cat food.
That's exploitative. And yet people are like working for those wages and working really hard because they believe in what they do. It's not right. It's just not right. If you're trying to publish a comic book and you can't afford to pay someone a living wage to draw that book, don't do it. Like, do it yourself. Don't foist all that on someone else to have to do. So I said, no, EJ, this is what I'm going to pay you. And I gave him his rate, and he was like, that's what I make in a month at my 9 to 5. That's what I make in an entire month. And I was like, that's good. That's better.
Yeah, that's sweet.
So do it quick,
Yeah, draw it in 1 week, and then you're made good money.
Yeah. Well, no, I asked him, I said, how are you on doing pages? And he goes, to be honest with you, like with the time that I spent, 1 a week. And I was like, that's honest. Most people are like, I can do a page a day. Yeah, you can, but you won't. You won't do a page a day. Mostly.
Yeah, like I can do a page a day, but my style's kind of minimalist. And so it's stuff, that's give and take. Like, it doesn't have that like awesome feel of the super detailed pages. But
can you do a page a day, really?
Yeah. But it's maybe a bit of a very productive day if I do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna throw a little something your way too if you're available. I'd like to see you do a little Cyberfrog stuff. So everyone, back Vestige. Thank you for supporting it. Let's see that book. I'm gonna once it's got my cover on it, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about doing covers for people. Now I can do it. Now I have time to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's like, I don't know if it's like a rite of passage, but it's like, I like that you do that for the community. Like you did that for Nasser, and he was so ungrateful.
Yes, I did a trading card for Nasser. I don't know. Nasser's funny. Like The thing about Nasser, and everyone hates Nasser now. I don't. Oh, Carl's here. Let's let Carl row in here. Hello, sir.
Carl,
Hey.
what's up?
What's up?
Good morning, I guess. What time is it over there?
Yeah,
No.
it is. It's like 12 o'clock.
Okay, it's still all right. So you're in the middle of your day. We're talking about Mark ZAID here. You're gonna get a quick crash course on this weirdo that is defending Mark Wade in the your boy Zach lawsuit. The thing about Nasser is that like I like Nasser, even because he's what would I say? Such a nudge. He's a nudgina. He's a nudge. Andrea calls them nudginas. You know, that means you're a pest. You know, and that's kind of what Nasser is. And it's like, and Nasser would just be like, "What? Yeah, I know that you've helped me this much, but what have you done for me lately? And you're doing stuff for other people. You're doing what? You're doing a cover for your boy Zach, and you won't do something for me." And it's like, it's just, okay, Nasser, I'll do something for you too. And it's just, you just do it because you're like the balls on this kid.
Yeah,
it has
cojones.
balls.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Everyone hates Nasser. Look, chat's like F Nasser, F him. I don't know. I still like that kid. I can't help it. I know he's all of the things that people say about him are true, but still like him. All right, so let's get back to this. Let's talk about the incredible Mark ZAID, the lawyer who is oh my God, the lawyer who is defending Mark Wade against rightful. I mean, he should, in my opinion, Mark Wade should be thrown in jail, lifetime imprisonment.
Wade and ZAID.
Both of them, throw them both in jail. I said this one time. I said, here's Mark S. ZAID, his client, Mark Wade, threatening to destroy my livelihood because there was a single troll in a chat of 900 fans enjoying the interview I conducted with him. And this is a true story. You might not know this, Carl, because you're kind of new to the COMICSGATE scene.
No, I was hanging around when all this happened.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was out there.
He was Turbo with Wanger.
Yeah, the Turbo guys. I like those Turbo guys. Turbo's another like motorcycle club. Remember, I started calling these guys motorcycle clubs. It's like there's War Campaign, there are the Cherries, there's Turbo, and
yeah, it sucks because I really liked that, and I was always about just taking it for promotion. And I sort of used that as my imprint.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, fuck, but I really love it. And I got stickers and everything.
Yeah. Well, you were Carl Turbo Rowe for a little while, I think,
Yeah.
Yeah. I got this stuff coming out of my ears. I got people complaining about War Campaign, people complaining about the Cherries, people complaining to me about Turbo. And I'm just like, man, all these guys are going to do what they're going to do. They're starting their little motorcycle clubs. You got to let them do it, But all right, so here's the thing, Carl. So you remember this. You remember that, like, I did an interview with Mark Wade way back in the early days of my channel, 2017, which it seems like ancient times now. It was less than 2 years ago. I had Mark Wade on. I did an interview with him. And during that interview, there was one guy in the chat whose name was Mark Wade. And he was saying things like, fuck your boy Zach and things like that. He was being Mark Wade, he was being kind of an overblown version of Mark Wade. Now, and in fact, the weird thing about it is I don't think that guy said anything that the real Mark Wade doesn't believe or wouldn't. He was just being a caricatured version of Mark Wade. So the interview, it was interesting. Mark Wade, the whole time leading up to that interview, was like, people are warning me that I shouldn't be on this show. People are telling me that I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just telling them, I got this. I got this. Don't you worry. I got this. And all this stuff. And I was like, Mark, I just want to have you on and talk to you about your career. Like, if you think this is a setup or something, you're going to be disappointed. If you're looking for drama, you ain't getting drama. I don't do drama.
Yeah, well, that was back before you were really, I think it was before you kind of dived into CG. I think CG, you were almost investigating CG, I think, and having tons of interviewers on, right? Because you had Jason Fabuk on, and then this was still DC days for you, right?
Yeah, I was still working at DC, and I just thought I'm gonna have a YouTube channel. I think in the back of my mind, even back then, I was already realizing that my time at DC was coming to an end. because you know, they stuck me on this Hal Jordan book. They weren't giving me good. They weren't giving me good stuff to do, and they weren't listening to me the way they used to when it was just me and Jeff Johns, and I'd say, I want to do this, and they would kind of snap it. They were kind of just putting me on these fill-in issues of Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, and it didn't feel good anymore, and I was starting to think I could go out on my own. I did a conversation, I had a conversation with these two YouTubers who had 1.5 million followers each, and I said to them, you know, you guys talk about comics, but if you actually did your own comics and promoted them on YouTube, you guys would be beating Marvel and DC. And for some reason, these guys were just like, it's not what we want to do. And I said, that's what I want to do, though. And so I started up a YouTube channel that October and started to try to build up my platform, because that was the plan eventually, to get out here and do Cyberfrog. So in any case, I was mostly interested in doing having a channel that promoted other comic book creators as well, interviewed them, and created a database. This is how naive I was. I'm going to create a database library of interviews with these people that, you know, are going to stand the test of time. This is the ultimate Mark Waid interview. If you want to know anything about Mark Waid, it's all right here. So we did this. Mark Waid was there basically looking for a way to cause trouble, because he knew that I was friends with Richard C. Meyer. And he told me many times, Ethan, I don't see an upside to you being friends with this guy. It's not going to end well for you. I said, well, I'm friends with him. I don't know what you want me to do. You know, and there are people who say stuff like that even now. You know, they'll just be like, I don't see, I don't see an upside to you being How can you control your friendships? How can you decide that you're not friends with someone just based on peer pressure? I don't understand that. I never will. Like, he didn't do anything to me. You understand? Like, it's like, I don't agree with everything he says, but I don't agree with everything you say, Mark. Zach didn't do anything to me, and, you know, he's always been good to me. I don't understand why I'm supposed to not be his friend just to appease people who manifestly hate me. I'm not going to do that.
It's all just mind games that they're playing. They're just being manipulative and weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's capitulation, like, and you need to just have a allergic reaction to capitulation in life. That's the only way to get through it, you know?
That is true, isn't it?
And even I always tell people, like, when people are talking about their friends that might be controversial or whatever, and they might say something like, well, I don't agree with everything they've done. It's like, when you're saying that, you're still capitulating, because no one that has friends thinks that. Like, no one that has friends thinks you have to agree with them 100% with everything they've done. Yeah. So you're capitulating to friendless weirdos, like people that don't understand what it's like to have friends. You know?
Don't have real friends. They have allies, don't they? You know?
Yeah, they kind of have just people that they agree with everything on Twitter, and they go after other people with it. And then the second that person doesn't agree with them, you're on the outs. You know, if it's one thing, it's like, okay, let's attack this guy's book.
Has it always been this way, or is this kind of a new thing that's been brought on by the internet? Because I don't remember this kind of peer pressure about my personal associations. You know, I don't remember that. And I'm seeing it with other people too. I mean, we're seeing it within COMICSGATE, where it's like, well, if you're friends with this guy, then you can't be friends with everyone else. And there are a few people who skirt that line very carefully, but, you know, that is, you know, I'm talking to Antonio Bryce, and Antonio Bryce is like, well, I'm trying to be friends with Doug. You know, I'm trying to be friends with this person and this person. And they're all telling me that I'm not allowed to be friends with you. And it's like, no, I want all my friends to get along. And it's just like, that's odd behavior. That's really strange behavior. But I think it's, is that internet culture? What do you guys think?
I don't know. So sometimes it's just because one guy's an asshole, and that's it.
I know, like in elementary school, I had two friends who didn't like each other, and I made them hang out, and then we all became good friends. But that's like a happy ending. And I think in high school, in that situation, if I had two friends fighting, I might, the online version is I would eventually accidentally take a side, because I would see all the warts of them fighting, and it would become clear one of them's an idiot. And then I would kind of just start siding with the other guy. And that kind of is what happens with me online. If I'm watching, like, sometimes it's like that with War Campaign. If it's like anti-war campaign and War Campaign, to me, looking from afar, like George Alexopoulos, you know, he looks kind of crazy, and War Campaign seems kind of normal. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, this is the beginning of me actually taking a deep dive into the lunacy of this kind of behavior, because it shocked me when I got this. I said, this is an adult. This is an adult in his 50s. And I want you to remember that when you read this private message that Mark Waid sent to me. Fix this now. Now, this belongs on a T-shirt. And this whole thing belongs on a T-shirt, actually. Maybe I should.
It's funny because it's actually, when you look at how he captioned it out, it's really well structured comic book like size.
It's dialogue, it's like,
yeah.
It's how he writes. This is how he thinks people talk, But I want to take this. I think I'm going to do this, including with this tirade isn't okay. You owe me an apology. I'm gonna put this whole thing on a T-shirt. I think everybody would buy this
put it on a
T-shirt.
T-shirt and then have like on top of it say "I survived Mark Waid" or something. Mark Waid
God,
survivor.
Yeah. Ethan, don't you have a Mark Waid voice that you were doing?
Fix this. Fix this now. Fucking fix this. I'm leaving for the airport in a motherfucking hour, and this is the last fucking thing I need to be happening right now, Ethan. Your followers are fucking assholes. They're fucking monsters. I'm about 30 minutes away from filing a complaint to have your entire account suspended, Ethan, which is exactly what these motherfuckers want. Fix this.
Do you understand? Like, I mean, when you get when you get this shit in your message, like, this is Mark Waid. This is Mark Waid. This is a man. This is a prestigious individual within the comic book industry. And if this is how somebody like Mark Waid behaves, the entire industry coddles, embraces this. The entire industry is damaged. And, my only reaction to that was like, this isn't okay. You owe me an apology, dude. And he refused. He didn't apologize to me.
Yeah.
It seems like a child that's never had their toys taken away, like
Yes.
he just can't put the phone down. He can't get off it.
So I said this to Mark ZAID, like, you know what? You're talking about Zach and you're saying that Zach is this and that. Do you understand who your client is? Maybe you don't know. And I think Mark ZAID is actually somebody who's just a great big comic book fan and he's just privileged to. It's so weird that somebody would feel this way about Mark Waid, but privileged to defend Mark Waid.
He just
probably doing it for free.
He wants to defend someone that rhymes with his own name.
Do you think that's what it is too? Do you think that crossed his mind? I mean, it had to have. It had to have.
I want to see like a Dr. Seuss style book about all the Mark Waids, and there's going to be a ZAID in there.
Yeah.
There's Angry Waid and Sad ZAID. And
Adam Post is here. All right, Adam Post, welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I have feelings about stuff.
Oh, good. Well, I have feelings too about echoing.
Oh, that must be me. I love to echo. All right, I'll de-echo. I have a Mark Waid theory for you. Why he acts so wacky?
Oh, no, Adam, fix the echo. Can you put on headphones?
Echo.
Suddenly the echo is gone. I think.
I got the headset on.
You might. Okay, good. What's your theory about Mark Waid?
So maybe he spends too much time trying to think about what it's like to be a superhero. So if he's writing superheroes constantly and he's like, all right, well, this is what a superhero would do in this situation. I'm Batman, I'm whomever, I'm Superman. That's potentially his problem. Maybe he's walking through life and he kind of forgets, hey, you're not supposed to think what a superhero would do every time you go into a pizza parlor or you interact with another professional.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know. I mean, it could be.
Well, when they were canceling me, when cancel culture within comics came after me, one thing that they said a lot, which absolutely blew my mind, was, and this guy gets to draw Green Lantern and he behaves like this. And I was like there was a lot of that, like a surprisingly large amount of people who think that like you have to behave like Superman in order to draw Superman. Like you have to be you have to be a hero that meets their own personal standards about what Superman or Green Lantern or Batman or whoever, however they behave, in order to work on these characters. And I'm like, all of you are assholes. All of you are. Like,
yeah, well, it's like that thing with Mark Waid being a kid that has never gotten his toys taken away. That's sort of like a childish sort of behavioral thing. It's like finding out that Santa Claus or something, you know, like they're projecting all this like superhero stuff onto the people behind it, and that shows them because they want to get to that position. They want to get behind the scenes, so they clearly see that as like a moral superiority thing. Like when you're working on these characters, you are classed somewhere in the social like hierarchy as being this moral being, you know.
Yeah, 100% true. I mean, you have to be like, they think that working on these characters has granted them some kind of grace or something like that. It's really weird, you know.
It's just it's so weird to think about, like people saying I'm going to white knight and be superheroes for people that never asked me to do this. You know, I never asked me, could you please get involved with my life and start fighting battles on my behalf?
Yeah, it's white knighting. That's what it is. I mean, that's what these social justice warriors do. And it is, like I said before, Adam, I said it's a form of white supremacy.
Well, I heard it, and that was creepy, and you're damn right. And I actually feel, and I usually don't feel bad, but I felt bad when you were talking earlier, like, why is it that Mark Waid is giving Black people superpowers as if they're smart? I know, I mean, Black people, they are smart already. You can't do that. You can't just say like, well, obviously they're not. They must all aspire to be smart. Like, what the hell? Where do you come from?
This is white people doing this, because I gotta say it's not unusual. Mr. Terrific is also they go, Mr. Terrific is like the second smartest man in the DC universe.
Oh! I thought you were talking about the Terrific Comics guy.
No,
sorry, that's a different thing.
Can I just tell you about that guy real quick? This is
Please.
Just like I wish I could show you my private messages between me.
Oh my
him.
God, he contacted you?
Dude, he messages me 8 times a day. I've only responded to him once.
I have ways of getting him in trouble.
You do?
Well, I'm not talking to damaging. Well, just suffice it to say to Mr. Terrific, if you're listening, stop it with Ethan. I know Scott Rosenberg extremely well. He acquired the rights to some of my properties, and I always have his ear. And the day you miss a deadline on what you're supposed to do on Youngblood, may be the day that there's no more Youngblood for Terrific Comics.
Oh,
That's
really?
it. Yes. Scott and I was on the board of Platinum Studios for more than a year, and I've known Scott for 20 years. He acquired the rights to Chromium Man and Triumph Comics stuff. So I'm constantly asking him, and sorry if I'm outing something, Scott, but I'm constantly asking Scott, has he blown the deadline for Youngblood yet? Has he blown it? Has he blown it? So anyway, Scott, it's through another entity, and maybe I shouldn't have spoke to that, but just suffice it to say, I don't know. All right, probably shouldn't have said that. But in any event, Terrific Comics, cut it out. But yeah, please.
Well, I don't need them to cut it out. Like, they're not doing anything wrong. Let me read this to you without showing you. I'll read you what I'm getting from them. This started in September. Ethan, do you have some time to talk this weekend? Want to discuss some ideas to make money? I didn't respond. I do not wish to have any issues with John Malin. Can you ask him to call me so we can get things straight? Didn't respond. I'm here to work with people, and I have no idea why, other than Youngblood, that he has issues. He does not have the facts, and I wish to discuss them with him. I know you guys are close, so perhaps you can let him know I'm cool and that we have no issue if we can talk this out. I didn't respond. I would like to discuss having you involved in Terrific Realm, Supreme, or Huge Seller. Didn't respond. Oh, no, I did respond. I said, hey, Andrew, I'm not sure if we need to have a discussion. I'm doing my own thing, and I'm not really available for work. I'd sort of be interested in taking Youngblood, but acquiring it, not working with you on it. Reach out to Malin if you need to. So I just go, you want to sell me Youngblood? And I don't even really want it, but like, that's the only conversation I'd be interested in having with this guy. He goes, do you have email? Because I'd rather not use Twitter. That way I can do it in private. Rob will text me fairly regularly. I have no issue with the blah, blah, blah. Didn't respond. As far as Youngblood, I'm open. Didn't respond. This was September 23rd. He gives me his phone number. He's going on and on and on. I'm scrolling down. He wants to buy Cyberfrog. He wants to buy IDW. He's a serious buyer, he says. We're going to sell huge numbers. We'll have 13 covers. You know, you can do one with Cyberfrog on it. You can do Supreme. He's offering me Youngblood to draw, on and on and on and on. It's now October 15th, still scrolling down. And then he says, I'm okay to take a flyer on buying into your company as long as you're honest with accounting. Now, at this point in his head, like, he's going to buy into All Caps Comics. I answered this guy once.
No, he's just saying a bunch of different tangential things, hoping that one of the worms catches the bait. What he should be doing is offering you pie.
That would be interesting to me.
That would get a response.
This guy's really weird. You know, it's like I don't know anything about him except what I've read on Bleeding Cool. I kind of want to keep my distance. I'm not interested in, like, if he said, yeah, I'll sell you Youngblood for $1.
He doesn't own the rights to Youngblood. It's a license from another entity. And I actually made a bit of a thing about that. And I kept going back and I said, like, look, Scott, however you used to be related or whatever, he has to cut it out with saying he's the owner of Youngblood, because it's bad. You know, it's just bad to say you own something when you do not own something, and eventually stop. I would also, he's he's just trying to get attention, I suppose. But to me, I hope he misses his deadline and it becomes available.
Does he have money? I mean, does this guy have money?
I don't
literally
know. I believe that literally people don't know, but it doesn't matter, because even if he had money, it's what you call crazy money. So it's someone that you would never want to work with on anything. And again, I'm not trying to disparage anyone. I'm just having a conversation with Ethan as far as I'm concerned. You don't work with people that you don't want to work with, regardless of money. You kind of can't. If you're desperate, you take it. If you're not desperate, you don't take it. That's all.
The chat is saying, don't sell Cyberfrog to this guy.
Ethan would not sell Cyberfrog to the next comic, to the next Messiah. Ethan is Cyberfrog. Cyberfrog is Ethan. They're together forever.
Yes. That's
imagine if you could buy Youngblood off him and then just give it to John Malin. That would be fair enough.
See, that
would be fair enough for shutting down his channel. That would be good enough.
What I want to see happen is, I want this guy to miss a production deadline. I want and it's not really Scott, but whoever it is that has the controlling interest in Youngblood, to say to him, listen, you had your chance, goodbye, and then have Malin do it. And I might, because of my relationship and relation, like, if I can get it, I do it either with Malin or just say, hey, I'm not involved, just give it to Malin.
I feel like Youngblood's like a worthless franchise, though.
Well,
I don't feel like there's anything in it. I don't,
That's the other problem is to have to breathe life into something that's that old is a problem, because, why not just do something new? And I kind of thought about that, because I was like, well, how much effort would it be worth to put in to do something? And I'm like, well, I'm already putting that effort into like 2 other projects, and it'd be a lot of work to do someone else's superhero book.
Yeah, we're doing our own thing. Someone else's superhero book is right. Like, I've got my own ideas piled up, like, behind me, and I have no interest in owning anything else.
And someone else's thing. But if Malin's excited about it and he wanted it, that's nice. But then again, it's just it is. He could do his own thing anyway.
I'd buy it and I'd give it back to Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, that would be great. But you'd probably be in a high. It would be a number. It would be a really big number, and it would be too much of a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Cyberfrog Blood Honey limited edition line art variants, by the way, still available. We're shipping these in December. I got a whole warehouse full of these, and they're limited to 1,500 copies each. So how long do we got on this? 17 days. 17 days to get Cyberfrog Blood Honey limited edition line art variants. And, the link is in the description. Did you read Cyberfrog, Adam, or no?
I did. I made a comment about Cyberfrog. What I was really sincere about it was like it's the absolute best first published effort from someone. You can always pick at titles, and you can always pick at things. You have to remember, I put it up against my first self-published comic, and my comic doesn't stand up as well. should we say, a black and white parody book, which I'm remaking now, G.I. Jackrabbits.
Yeah, Jackrabbits. I love it.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, man.
promote. I'll promote that book. I
Well,
want to promote GI Jackrabbits.
Well, now that I happen to have you too, is like I am thinking about, because they existed in the mid to late 80s. It did exist in that world. So I've been thinking about, like, actually Professor Geek is helping me with the story. A great guy, and a great editor. And he was looking at what I had, and he's like, Adam, don't sell it short. These are cool characters. This is interesting. So anyway, long story short is I'm thinking of a story that would have us take place right before and then right after, well, set up right before and then during your Hornet invasion. So they could exist in the Cyberfrog universe. Would be awesome.
Yeah, I would. I'd be supportive of that. I think that's great.
So we'll get some info on it and send it to you on the side. But yeah, it was fun. That was the thing that came from my heart. So the existence of COMICSGATE makes me be able to do the thing right, the way that I always like. I was really passionate about it. I got the book done. I was 16 years old. It was the world to me. And I was the cool guy in high school, and I had comic books I self-published.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying, what happened to the Doug Ernst stream? That I think that's just an ongoing joke. I don't know.
Yeah, it is an ongoing joke.
I'm like, I've done one, and I think I left it up. I don't know. These are the Cyberfrog line art variants, by the way. I've got them here. They're beautiful. The inside is exactly like the the Chromium books. So make sure that you do back this while you still can. 17 days left. We're doing good. We got 869 backers on this.
Those are original first printings. First printings.
Yeah, that's right. They came out. They were printed the same time as everything else, so they are first printings.
And the total print run on your Cyberfrog #1 is, I think it's less than 20,000 copies, isn't it?
At this moment, yes, I think so.
Well, the first printing is what it is.
Yeah,
so it's a great opportunity for somebody to get like first printings of these books.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Want to also talk about this again real quick. Richard C. Meyer needs you. We're talking about the Mark ZAID and Mark Wade lawsuit against Richard C. Meyer. It's still ongoing. So if you can actually support your boy Zach, the link is in the description. A lot of you are. Thank you. You guys are great. Thank you for donating whatever you have. If you have $5, if you have $50, if you have $1,000, if you're rolling like that, Adam.
Oh yeah, done.
Yeah. Then throw $1,000 your boy Zach's way to help him fight these idiots. Would you call them idiots, Narwhal? What would you call Mark ZAID and Mark Wade?
Yeah, they're bumbling, buffoonish pedos. No, I don't know. That's too much.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure anymore.
It's depravity.
It is depravity. This has become the news of the day because Mark ZAID, the lawyer for Mark Wade, against your boy Zach. Sorry, this still kills me. He is now representing the whistleblower against President Trump. His dream come true. Mark S. ZAID is just like any one of these other buffoons who thinks that he is going to take down President Trump. I relate to President Trump so much. I really do. I feel like I'm living his life on a smaller scale.
We all are. We all are in some fraction of some way. It's a different reality now.
But yeah, Ethan, you can definitely relate to like Ethan derangement syndrome or whatever it might be called in that case, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Like it's like, okay, so like the entire comic book industry conspired to take me down. The entire comic book industry, and they couldn't do it. And yet there are still individuals that pop up. Little scheming dart worms that decide that they're going to do it as individuals, or with the remainders of people who were also blacklisted from the comic book industry. It ain't going to work. And you got Mark S. ZAID, who thinks that he's going to stand up and take down the president of the United States. That is hubris. That's a rare form of hubris. And Trump just goes through this constantly. He's like, I should be happy. I'm the president of the United States. I'm the leader of the free world. And these assholes won't let me just be the leader of the free world. I earned it. I cannot wait until next year. I really hope he wins again. I really do.
He's going to win again. All he knows how to do is win. Everything's win, 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 win.
Yeah, I think that's true. So
even these battles, the battles are selected like ground that he wants to fight with people on.
Well, this is a good one. I mean, Mark Zaid representing the whistleblower. Now he's all over the TV. He's all over CNN. He's all over MSNBC, which is where he wants to be. And people are starting to scrutinize his social media, which is a level of scrutiny for politicians and comic skaters. We're the only ones. Like I woke up this morning to an email that was addressed to me and Zach from this one big blogger, right-wing commenter who was just like, did you guys see this? Like, this is great. Mm-hmm. And Zach and I both answered like, no, we knew about this. Like, we knew we just like we knew that his that Mark Zaid's YouTube channel had a few YouTube things about him, and then he liked these videos. His likes are peculiar. Selena Gomez, From Child to Woman. Look at this.
Yeah.
Top 10 Disney girls. Top 10 prettiest Disney Channel stars. These are all underage women. They're all underage, obviously.
I think you covered this on a stream about a year ago.
Yeah, we talked about it. And I just kind of said, I think Zach and I were both kind of merciful. And we said to him, we kind of said to ourselves, look, but maybe he has children who are using his YouTube channel. I don't know if his children, if he would have children, if they would particularly like those videos. That's weird. But it turns out, we never asked him. It turns out he does not have kids. This is a man who goes to Disney all by himself and takes pictures with the teenagers in costumes.
Ooh, that's strange, man.
One does not need kids to be all the Disney one needs and wants to be. Let me repeat that. One does not need kids to be all the Disney one needs and wants to be. This guy. I mean, case closed.
One. It's funny.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not
well,
good.
Again, it's like I was like, these guys are kind of set back like children. They're like child men, And I was wondering if this might be bad for Mark Wade because he only seems to care about fighting the most moral battle, and now he's getting attention from Trump. Do you think he's just gonna ignore Wade, and Wade's gonna be like, please help, please get me out of this? And Zaid's like, we can't fight for comic books. I'm fighting for America now. I'm going to Disney.
When it comes to hanging out with kids, it's BYOK. It's bring your own kid. You're not supposed to be hanging on other people's kids.
That is, I would say that's a pretty good way to look at it.
BYOK.
Hold on a second. Apparently, the president read Mark Zaid's tweets at a rally last night, and somebody's. Wait a second. I got to see if I can find it. Somebody sent me the video. Okay, let me see here. Oh God, please. Trump reads whistleblower Mark Zaid. The coup has started. Impeachment will follow. Okay, let's see this here. If I can find it. Yes, right here.
That's only 1 degree of separation between you and Trump, Ethan.
Yeah, but I feel so close to this president anyway, just for other reasons. I realize this is 1 degree of separation, and that's pretty funny. But I mean, I really do feel like I can relate to this president. I feel like my fortunes rise and fall with his.
Maybe you'll get called to the White House for something.
I think what could be funny is if this thing goes on, I could end up on TV talking about how Mark Zaid has persecuted COMICSGATE.
Oh yeah.
Here is all right. Let me show this here.
Now corrupt politicians.
I love the
Nancy
hand.
Pelosi and Shifty Adam Schiff.
Shifty Adam.
And the crooked media have launched the deranged, delusional, destructive, and hyper-partisan impeachment witch hunt. Now we go again. Except a lot of things have happened because, I don't know if you saw, I just got off. I'm coming off the plane and they hand me, look at this character.
Yes.
He said in 2017, you know when that was? That was a long time ago. It's all a hoax. They say January 2017, a coup has started and the impeachment will follow. Ultimately, it's all a hoax. It's a scam. And you know who helps them? These people right back here, the media.
The media. Please to CNN again. Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm excited about the election.
And then it said, oops, the light's going to go off. The CNN light is going to go off. It said, lawyer, a sleazeball. It said, I predict at CNN will play a key role in at real Donald Trump not finishing out his first term. Can you believe this? And this was done a long
He's
time
reading
ago.
Mark ZAID.
Then he goes, as one falls, two more will take their place, referring to outgoing Trump administration employees who, by the way, have been put through hell by the sleaze back there.
So true.
Politicians. It just came out. That's the whistleblower. You know the whistleblower, the one that came out with this, oh, the Trump said this and Trump said that. And then when they heard my real phone call, the whistleblower disappeared. Shifty Schiff, he's a corrupt politician. Schiff didn't want to have the whistleblower anymore because nobody thought I was going to release the phone call. But as soon as I released the phone call, and you don't like doing that with a foreign leader because you got to deal with foreign leaders. You don't want them to think.
I love it, ladies and gentlemen.
Super entertaining.
I'm so excited, man.
So who runs gay ops and says it openly, and then leaves the tweets up? So they're like, well, we're going to try to ruin Ethan Van Sciver. It's like at least the Legion of Doom does most of the stuff behind the scenes.
I really want to hear Trump say gay ops. I really want to hear that.
Yeah, it's Mark ZAID Esquire tweeting and leaving it up. Gay ops.
But that's the thing. I mean, Mark ZAID should have removed all of this once he came into prominence. Like Mark ZAID, I don't think he understood. It's like, we're going to look into you. And I mean, just COMICSGATE looked into him. COMICSGATE looked into Mark ZAID, and we found all kinds of creepy stuff about him. And we now
it's as if there's not one clever person involved in their coup. It's like it's just like there's shattered people. Like, look, guys, don't give up. Don't give up. Like, we'll still do this. It's like, well, no, you can't say this stuff. If you're going to do sketchy things, you don't leave a trail.
No.
Well, this is a guy that doesn't protect his YouTube likes. What?
All right, so we get back to this. Let's talk about Mark. So this is who we're up against, COMICSGATE. You understand? This is who we're up against. We're up against somebody, a lawyer who the president himself has called a sleazeball, and boy, is it fun! COMICSGATE is fun. You cannot deny that. Like, we're having a good time, and these people are hilarious. Mark ZAID here. My client, Mark Wade, was sued by a leader in COMICSGATE, in the COMICSGATE movement, who promotes bigotry, hatred, and intolerance. We learned today that he has deleted much of his online past, particularly on Twitter, and this after he filed a public lawsuit. Why does everybody think that is? I'm not really sure. I would ask you why you deleted your YouTube likes. I mean, this guy actually, Mark Dice caught him deleting his YouTube likes of the Disney Channel princesses. I would have to ask him the same kind of question. But I mean, the fact that he suggests that deleting your social media means that you have something to hide. Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. So we scroll down. We'll see what else he's saying here. Big conversation with, I don't know who Brian Lee Jones is, but he doesn't follow me. Peter A. DeLuca does. God bless you. Looks like Brian Lee Jones is not a COMICSGATE fan, but he does want to argue with Mark ZAID.
So CG people are going after Mark ZAID with this stuff.
Well, this was a year ago.
Last year too, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I saw out there Rob Casey. He's a book on Indiegogo now, and he was going after people back then.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, that's all it is. Why self-identify as COMICSGATE? Because you're unhappy with the direction that mainstream comics and the professionals who create them are going in, and you want something better. What do you mean by better? These are questions that we answer, it seems like, every single day on YouTube in long, extensive, and extremely entertaining videos. I can't stand when people go, yeah, but what do you mean? It's like, what we talk. Go watch the videos. If you have questions, if you have an opinion about COMICSGATE at all, it should come from the fact that you've watched our videos and disagree with them.
And Literature Devil has done great COMICSGATE videos, don't you think?
Oh my God, I love Lit Dev. I call him Lit Dev now. I love that guy.
Yeah, just Google, if you guys wanted to look, just in YouTube, put in Literature Devil, look at his channel, and you'll see. And he did great voice too, great presenter.
Yeah, I like his voice. We're blessed. I was telling this to Andrea. I was like, I really feel like some dirt worms and tapeworms have kind of like hurt COMICSGATE a little bit, confused some people, and done a fair amount of damage, to the goodwill of COMICSGATE. And it's hard for me to always, as I told Adam Friended this in private. I said, I'm dumb. Like I'm a high school graduate. I'm just a dumb lunkhead from New Jersey. And so I don't always have the words. I try my best, but I don't always have the words to express how I feel about things and what I believe. Fortunately, we have Literature Devil and we have Adam Friended, who are both extremely articulate and great at just bringing practical common sense to things.
I like Adam Friended's coherent arguments. Right, because he was on Mike's channel and given a hard time to Edwin, which he's like, I didn't even get to debate him. I'm like, you made Edwin look terrible because all you were coherent. And honestly, it can be difficult to be coherent sometimes. But Adam Friend has, I guess, been doing this a long time. So, absolutely agree that we're blessed to have these things. And at the same time, these are challenges that people go through because it's like, all right, we need to improve. And then you see as the dust clears, like, look at all these great people involved in COMICSGATE.
Yeah, I just it's getting better and better. I love it. Somebody said, like, Ethan says divisive things, and Adam said, no, he draws a line. He makes a line. He lets you know how he feels, and yeah, that's a good thing. It's like the word divisive. I think just scares people, but it's like, no, I kind of tell you how I feel about things, and yeah, I guess that pushes some people away. But at least I'm not a fence sitter. I tell you where I stand. And I don't know. I appreciate Adam. I appreciate LitDev. Adam Post, I appreciate you. I think you're making great. I don't appreciate Carl or Narwhal. They're not doing enough.
I say good stuff about. I get in trouble with some of the guys, and maybe this is after a stream or something like that. Although sometimes they do it to me live, but they're just teasing me because I'm like you. Like I get really enthusiastic when I see like what someone's contribution is. I love
God, he was crushing hard on Adam Friended. He was crushing so much. You should have seen it. It was embarrassing. He started talking about Adam Friended, and he got big love hearts in his eyes, and then he put his hands up to his chest, and then he fell back into his sofa talking about Adam Friended. He was so in love with him.
The power of a coherent argument where someone just freaking makes a point.
I know. I really like him too. It's just that.
But I love your work too and your dedication to your work. I'm always talking up Carl and Death Sworn, but I do the same thing with Von Klaus. Right.
You're swooning.
But I do like the same thing with Von Klaus. And I love the aesthetics of Narwhal's work. And he was mentioning that he honored me with a cover we're going to do for Call to the Dead 2. And it's like you can really find a home working with the COMICSGATE people. You just have to do what you're great at and what you're passionate about, and then click with those people and appreciate them. And occasionally get teased for liking people too much. But you like the contribution. You like their contribution. And frankly, who knows? Anybody might not be such a great guy after time comes on. They're like, oh, this person isn't a great guy, whatever. But hey,
a chance. I'm interested in what people say about COMICSGATE.
Yeah,
I'm interested in other people's points of view. It means a lot to me. So I said it seems like somebody who actually wanted to inquire into COMICSGATE might investigate actual COMICSGATE rather than just annoy the fan base. And then Mark ZAID does what an a-hole does in this case, what an a-hole SJW would do, which is to actually just respond to that question by linking to one of these myriad of hateful and disinformative articles written by social justice warriors about COMICSGATE. And this one was from the Washington Post. Can you believe the kind of abuse that we've endured here? Click on the Washington. This is the thing. I mean, people talk about COMICSGATE, and we have been thoroughly defamed. And there was a time when, and this was especially last year, there was one of these big articles about us, calling us white supremacists every day. Every day there was something. And it was just like, you felt like, oh, I got to take cover. Like, this is just abuse. At some point, this is just abuse. And who's going to stand up for me? Who's going to protect us? Who's going to actually protect the truth? Social justice warriors do this. This is the problem. They have people like this asshole here, Noah Bertlatsky. This guy's an asshole. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Look at him. He's a douchebag. This guy basically wrote this entire article, posted it or published it in the Washington Post, lying about us, just lying. And I, look, skip the part about diversity in comics. I'll just talk about what he says about me. Daryl Ayo, an indie comic creator and critic, told me, so you spoke to him, you didn't speak to me, about one instance in which COMICSGATE targeted him for speaking out. Ayo had criticized Malin's claim that social justice warriors were Nazis. That's a lie. Daryl Ayo called Malin a Nazi. He called John Malin a white supremacist.
John Malin didn't even say that. I think John Malin said
Nazis were SJWs.
Yeah, he said not all SJWs are Nazis, but Nazis were SJWs.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, when John Malin made that comment, Daryl Ayo is up all night, and I'm watching him on social media. I'm watching him on Twitter. Called John Malin a white supremacist and saying, basically, he said, I guess that, this John Malin mother effer's canceled, right? So he was already like working on getting cancel culture to do its magic on John Malin.
Yeah, because John was doing all this shit at Marvel. Like, that's the thing. When he was on your show, like, remember that stream when he was just going berserk on all this stuff? Yeah. He was at Marvel. He was working at Marvel when he did that. Like, that's how badass John is. That's how stick to his beliefs John is.
John just told the truth, and he didn't care. Like, I wasn't ready for that yet. I was kind of like, no, we got to just keep the fires from because this is going to explode. And John Malin was just like, fuck it. It needs to explode then. That's why John Malin is coach and king of COMICSGATE. John Malin's like, then we need to let this explode. If that's the case, if I can't tell the truth without some a-hole and a bunch of a-holes calling me a white supremacist and saying that my life needs to be canceled, then we need to fight. We're at war already. Whether or not you accept it, Ethan, we're at war.
Yeah, he's right. He's so great. He's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a stream that people should go back and listen to, because that was so good. Like, such a turning point in all this crap. Like,
do you know the title of it so we could find it? Or
I think is it my stream? It's like John Malin. You just look up John Malin.
Okay.
And, you'll find it. It's way back in like January or February of 2018.
Cool.
And so this is full of lies. Let me just read this. That night after midnight, popular comics penciler, outspoken right winger, and COMICSGATE leader Ethan Van Sciver, I wasn't even COMICSGATE then, challenged him to appear on his podcast to debate Malin. Quote, Daryl, come on my show right now and say what you have to say, Van Sciver tweeted. That's right, because Daryl was up there calling John Malin a white supremacist. And my attitude was, why don't you just talk to him? You'll see that he's not a white supremacist. Come on the show. We'll have this out. We'll have a conversation. But this is how SJWs approach having to defend their defamation. This is how they act like they're the victims in this. Ayo didn't know Van Sciver and refused the offer. If he didn't know me, why is his timeline jack full of bullshit about me going back a year, calling me a white supremacist too? You're quite right. I didn't know Daryl Ayo. Daryl Ayo didn't know me either, and yet his timeline was full of him calling me a Nazi. So it seemed like we should have some kind of a relationship. Rarely have I encountered up until then somebody who would call me a racist who had no idea about me or who didn't want to actually do it.
You were going through murder. You were going through murder then, and a lot of us saw it. I mean, there's nothing we could say, or you're just like, what the heck is going on? What the hell is this that you call people Nazis? Sometimes that comes on for a little while, and then now you're in the Washington Post being called a Nazi.
The Washington Post. That's how these people are evil. I will never stop. People are like, oh, COMICSGATE's over. It's never going to be over because I'm never going to stop. I am never going to stop talking about COMICSGATE. I don't care what dirtworm comes or goes. I don't care what Chinese restaurant establisher wants to be a part of this or not, or disagrees with it. I'm never going to stop because this shit happened. Because every single day I was defamed by assholes. By assholes like this guy. In media, in major media. They allowed lies to proliferate. It's never going to die. I'm never going to stop doing this. I am going to wrap this shit around these people's heads. I'm going to laugh when all of these people are unemployed. I'm going to laugh when the comics industry collapses because of their perfidy. And COMICSGATE is still going strong. I'm never, ever, ever going to stop. There's no.
Yeah, I think it's good to remind people of all this stuff. I'm a lot closer to like knowing where the enemies are because I never was big. I was always indie, and you know everything that happened to me happened at an indie level. But we've sort of COMICSGATE has become so big and so successful on its own that it's embarrassing for these people to turn and look at us and point at us. That's what's happened to me over here. No one talks about my book because it got no support, and it's one of the biggest Irish crowdfunds ever. So, we need to show the enemies at the gates. You know, like these people are out there, and if anybody ever wanted to turn around and go back, you know, we'd be screwed. And no one's gonna try get like Mark Waid won. Even if Zach wins that lawsuit, Mark Waid won because no one's gonna try actually getting their books published through that forum again, you know. Well, I guess the Brightwise are sort of doing it, but that's a much bigger.
You mean through the through the direct market?
Yeah, I think if it's something like Zach, which was sort of a smaller, or Richard, or whatever moniker he goes by now, Richard, but it's I think, you know, that was a much smaller thing, a much smaller publisher. That's something that would be obtainable for a lot of smaller guys. That kind of like even me, you know, I'd have to give my stuff to someone else to deal with all that stuff, you know, over in the States.
Well, maybe you should, because Death Sworn Book 1 by Carl O. Rowe is at $22,560. This is a runaway hit. By the way, this was also, speaking of Zach, we're talking about Zach. He came on and he saw this book and he just lost his mind over it. He is a backer now. You know, look, Zach knows comics. This looks absolutely terrific, Carl, and you deserve your success for this. What's it about anyway? I see we talk about vampires a lot. I love the idea of solar vampires. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's a kind of 80s inspired sci-fi space fantasy, and it's about this empire of sun-stealing solar vampires called the Dark Stars. So they're not like your Hollywood vampires that drink blood and are scared of the sun. These guys survive on sunlight. They survive on solar energy. So they've amassed this intergalactic empire using sacred technology to, you know, wrap around suns, sap it of all its energy, and then enslave the planetary systems. And in their wake, they've killed and destroyed, you know, hundreds of these planetary systems and enslaved hundreds of people, hundreds of thousands of people. And most people bow to their new leaders, while some rage a personal war against them. And that's Sworn.
It's beautiful. By the way, Tommy Sarkinen, thank you for putting that Death Sworn link in the chat. Mods, keep putting that link in the chat. Go over and buy a copy of Death Sworn. This thing looks incredibly badass. And it reminds me of 2000 AD. I'm sure that you're sick of hearing that.
No, I'm into that. Most people say heavy metal. That's the distinction between Americans and Europeans. Most Americans say it reminds me of heavy metal, and Europeans say it reminds me of 2000 AD.
Yeah, look at this. This nice shot right here.
Yeah, I've read a copy of this and I love it.
I didn't get to read it yet.
It was the older versions. It was because I was putting out floppies with another thing before, and
you know, there's another book associated with this that Carl's doing that he calls an ash can. I don't call it an ash can because it's all new content and it's a beautiful book. You have some art at the bottom of that as well. That's part of this campaign, right?
Yeah,
Carl?
actually, in the updates, there's a 10-page preview of that, a whole letter, 10-page, first 10 pages of that book. And the Ashcan it's kind of like a one shot. I think next time I'm going to call them one shots. And it's 46 pages. It's going to be manga sized, and it's badass. It's a prologue. It's like a deleted scene. You know.
You have action figures? How did you get action figures?
Yeah, my friend is a model maker, and she sculpted them up and cast them, and I painted them. It was a pain in the ass to do, man. But and we were learning like every step of the way. But it was limited to, I think I only put 3 up because they're kind of so hard to do. But they went straight away. They went straight away. And they're in their own boxes. Oh, crap. Wait, I can show you.
Yeah, they're amazing looking.
See? They come in their own little box.
Wow.
Super cool.
Man, that's great. You're like, I only made 3 of them. You had to hand paint them. That's why.
Yeah, it was pain. Next time we're gonna, I think if we do them again, we're gonna like dye the resin so it cuts down some of the paint time and all that stuff.
Wow, it's just totally awesome. Congratulations to whoever got those. Lots of stretch goals here. 10K was the trading cards, and 15K you got a sticker sheet. Wow, you're doing really nice stuff here for people.
Yeah. Oh, I love the sticker sheet idea. I think it's kind of, it's retro-y, and it's I wanted it to be like a kid sticker sheet, but like updated. So like, because it's going to be like glossy vinyl stickers.
Yeah.
So like these things, you can put them on your car, they'll last. Yeah.
Yeah. Death Sworn, everyone. I think one of the coolest. And Carl, you're. I don't mean to patronize you. You're a young man. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Jesus God.
This is the start of a great career right here.
Yeah, man, that's COMICSGATE. It's fucking crazy. This is like the coolest. I always think of it, you know, like, I don't know if you, I mean, you probably still think of it in some way, like COMICSGATE was your future, like Ethan, you know, like you had this career and everything. And then even though you didn't know it, it turned into COMICSGATE. And you probably still think of it as your future, but I sort of, not in any sort of like bad sense, like in a cool sense, I always am thinking about COMICSGATE as my history. Like when it comes to me down the line, it's like, man, I started out this shit, and I was with Ethan and John and Art and Narwhal and Adam.
Yeah, it's like your origin.
Oh, Carl.
Yeah, it's
Very
crazy.
cool.
I couldn't. It's weird. Like I always say, it's funny how people think that we're the ones that have to be accepted. We're the ones that have to be like, you know, the mainstream, where the comics community has to capitulate to. And it's like, no, like we're in the best position we can be.
We don't need
I
them.
certainly am.
Yeah.
Like this is I couldn't ask for anything better. If I was 15, 16, that's why we have to be cool and fun. Because if I was 15, 16 and I was a kid that like I was doing, drawing my own comics all day, every day, I would be obsessed with this. I would have all these YouTube channels on every day, listening to all you guys, and this would be what I would aim for, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think COMICSGATE's just punk rock, and it's
I always say
exciting.
that. I always say that.
It's just freedom, you know. It's like freedom to do your thing, and yeah, I mean, people should come from it. Like you are coming from COMICSGATE, you're going to go wherever you go. But I love that. I love people, you know, just stay true to the principles and you know, believe in COMICSGATE, and you know, try to support other people who are on the same path as you, and that's really the spirit, the heart and soul of the whole venture. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be COMICSGATE forever, because I just feel like I need to shepherd people through. And that's where I'm an older guy. I'm 45, so I'm twice your age. That's where I'm coming from. That's how I want to spend the rest of my life, is helping indies, independent comic book creators kind of, you know, launch their careers.
Yeah, well, it's more than indies, you know, because I always think like a lot of people who are doing indies, they think of it as, you know, you just move towards the mainstream or whatever, you know. It's like it's purposely meant to be small and purposely meant to be like these lo-fi stories, and they never grow, and they're never epic, and they're never big IPs. And for me, it's like we can just do that. Like we don't have to be indie comics, you know. It's not like indie music. Like no, we're just a great big awesome punk ensemble. And as long as we keep pumping out these like huge IPs, you know, like indie comics can't stand up to Cyberfrog or Deathsworn or Earthbound or College of the Dead. Like these are huge ideas, you know.
This is why I love Carlo Rowe.
Oh yeah.
He's got a great perspective. Yeah.
Even the big
I always
companies-
wanted this. This is the thing. I always wanted this. And everywhere I went in my like life, it was never this. Like when I went to college, I thought it would be this. I thought it'd be people who was as passionate and cared as much about whatever they were doing in art as much as I did. And it was never that. It was always like it was just losers, like losers who didn't care about art. And then when I started getting into the indie comic scene over here, it was the same thing. It was like people who just did not care about art, people who did not care about the comics. There were people who just like they were just they all sat around at conventions looking like grandmothers, and it's like, what what are we doing here?
Yes.
Like, push a button somewhere. And then, like, as I started getting more and more noticed by COMICSGATE, it's like, this is it. This is all I wanted from a network, a community, whatever you want to call it, you know.
A club. Right now, just
clubhouse. That's a great way to think of it. We have a clubhouse.
Yeah. Awesome. Let me check in. So everybody back, Death Sworn, book 1. Get this book. Obviously, you don't want to miss out on this. It's too bad you missed out on the action figures, but you got to be quick around here. Fundraiser for Richard C. Meyer. This is the reason for the season. Donate whatever you have. You know, I mean, donate whatever you have to your boy Zach and his pursuit of justice against Mark Wade. You know, it's not fair. Vestige, #1 graphic novel. Wow, it's really cruising. I'm doing the cover for this, Carl. I've got the cover for Vestige #1. Got it right here, you know. So I'm working on it's about 45% of the way done. You know, I'll try to finish it today. Vestige is up on In Demand. Back and support this comic book, and you know, let's see it get to 65,000. I would love that. I think that would be great. Cyberfrog Blood Honey limited edition art variants are still available for 17 more days. 17 more days, and then we're going to ship these out in December. So make sure you get one of those if you haven't yet. And of course, Cyberfrog Ribbit Coin, collectible coins. We went to the Mint, the U.S. Mint, and we got these 2019 JFK half dollars, which are not available at any bank or in circulation. Mint silver-proof coins for 2019 are 99.9% pure silver. I guess the other 0.1% is soy for the first time in history. Gold coins. These are 24 karat gold plated. And then what they do is look, this is interesting. Colorization infused legal tender coins. Colorizing coins involves the application of special inks directly to the surface of a coin using a unique multicolored printing process. The result is an everlasting colorized coin, collectible of ultra high quality. We're using America's largest manufacturer and the creators of both colorized U.S. coins. This colorizing process achieves a level of detail, color saturation, and durability that's #1 in the industry. And 100% correct. The detail on these coins, they don't miss a line. They look fantastic. I think I got 3 sets of them that were given to me. So these are really great.
This is official legal tender for when COMICSGATE secedes from the United States, right?
Yes.
And becomes a sovereign nation.
Yeah. This is absolutely. This is my Confederate currency right here. You know, make sure that you support Ribbit Coin and all of the comics that we are discussing. Narwhal, how you doing, pal?
Good. I'm getting sleepy. I might dip out in a second, but I love you guys.
I sense that about you. Yeah, Narwhal's seen Dawn from the other side, you know. So he, you wanna go crash?
Yeah, I'll just say, chat, subscribe to Narwhal Books, and Earthbound is still in demand. It should be fulfilling in like the next couple weeks. So it's really getting here. I paid for shipping. It's shipping from China to me. I got some air shipments for 3 boxes to get started right away. That only takes a week to get here, but I think it ships like later this week or early next week. So it's real close.
Mm-hmm.
And Foreign Agent mailing list is on for Narwhal.
Yeah,
sign up now.
That book's going to launch in February, and I'm working on. I like having one short comic to be combined with every big comic that I release. So I'm working on a short comic that I'm posting art for right now too. But yeah,
it's beautiful work.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, thanks, Ethan, and yeah, good stuff, everyone. I'll see everyone later.
Thanks, Narwhal.
Yeah, bye.
Sweet dreams, Narwhal.
I love Narwhal.
I love him too. Narwhal was the guy I wanted to meet in art college. You know, when I went to college, I was like, that's the guy I want there. Like, I want to team up with that guy.
Yeah.
And the second he popped on the scene here, I immediately latched onto him. I was like, dude, I love you. Like, you're the best.
He really is terrific. I want to find his. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So this is one of the. I talk about Narwhal and the way he draws Cyberfrog. And how much I love it because he is really, really good at it. Like he makes a Cyberfrog look like a frog. Look at this. Boom. I mean, check that out, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. The legs are super long.
Yeah, I can't get enough of that, and it's alive, it's moving, you know. Is that the only one? I think. Let me see if I can find any
He
more
did
by
a
him.
really great one of
That's all I
it
can
was
find.
really cool. He was trying to talk about, like, he was trying to show how you work and what you do for people, and it was like Cyberfrog, I think, sort of blowing and lifting up these paper airplanes, I think, or something. It was something really sweet like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. I wish we, you know, I'm telling you, like ComicsGate is going by so quick. Like I forget things. Like so every day there's some new thing, and I wish I was keeping a scrapbook because I do remember that piece of artwork. It was beautiful. And this
Oh,
isn't
that is
even.
really cool.
Yeah, I didn't even. This isn't even the piece I was looking for. I don't even think I've ever seen this. So yeah, sometimes I miss things. I'm gonna retweet that out. Amazing, absolutely amazing. He's a great artist, and uh, I think a legitimate artist. Like I don't think of myself as an artist. I just think of myself as an illustrator. I think Narwhal's an actual artist. You know.
Yeah, no, he definitely has that sort of willingness to explore stuff, you know, and really kind of change the game up and do really artful, creative stuff, you know. That's why I love him. He's like the polar opposite of me, you know. Where I'm like,
Me
let's do
too.
some
Well,
angry comic book craziness, and he's like, no, let's do a good, sensitive, like cool story, you know.
that's kind of
He
what you
did.
and I are kind of on the same level here. We're kind of doing the same kind of thing, you know. But yeah, like Narwhal is. I've got a couple more people like that. They're just I don't know.
I didn't read through all of Earthbound because I was waiting to get the physical copies, and but I was looking through the PDF of it, and Narwhal did something that I usually hate in comics, and he did it, I think, the best way I've ever seen it done, which is when you put music in the comics and you put the lyrics of a song into the book. And I always think that never works for me. I always think it's really hacky and weird. And when I was reading it in Narwhal's in Earthbound, it was just perfectly done. Like it was the most well executed way of doing that I've seen, you know. And he did one where it was just a line, like just the first line of the song, and then you could hear it, you know, as you went through the scene. And then he did another scene where it was like broke down each and every like line of the song all the way through. And yeah, it was just really sort of, he's a real art house kind of special talent. Like,
I sent over the cover that he did for me to College of the Dead too.
You did? Where'd you send it? You sent it on Twitter?
In our group chat. Is that the
Oh.
if that's the easiest place? Yeah, he had one of his panels, because I did an interview with him, and I was thrilled to have him on my Adam Post Speaks channel. And he had one panel that I just couldn't stop looking at, and I was like, the energy between these two characters is amazing. And the eyes of the one character who's kind of like the victim of another character who is about to get attacked. It's like that's like an ultimate zombie piece. So I got in touch. I followed up with Narwhal, and I was like, would you do a cover for me, like capturing this energy? And he's just so great to work with. So he was like, yeah, I will. And then he did something else. Oh yeah. So that's for the color, the original. Actually, I don't have the original panel super handy, but if people know Narwhal, then they're familiar with the original panel. She had a dagger in her hand, and it was slightly different, but we added blood and zombie. And Narwhal is great to work with if anybody's thinking of commissioning anybody, because you just have great conversation with him, tell him what you want, give him feedback, and you wind up with a beautiful finished piece with just tremendous energy and drama to it. So it's he's just fantastic. And you can search the link for that College of the Dead 2 on Indiegogo to be able to sign up to be notified when it's released. And College of the Dead 1 is actually still in demand. And we're shipping it everywhere. Thank God we shipped it. It's out to everybody in the world, and I'm really, really thrilled with it. And trying to figure out when to launch College of the Dead 2, to be honest, because everyone is saying, you know, don't launch anything until February. But then, I mean, someone has to launch something before February.
You can try it. I mean, maybe you'll dominate the market.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and it's not even to dominate. It's just like, look, I love putting out books. I love working and collaborating with talent. I love artists. I love writers, and I love my little part of it, kind of putting it all together and feedback and trying to package it, make it good, and making sure it gets out there. So yeah, it's always worth a shot to consider. Gotten really great feedback so far, but Narwhal is just fantastic to work with. Highly recommended that anybody contact him. You know, he's one of the most accessible CG top guys as well, because he's just, I don't know, whatever his reason is. You send him a message on Twitter and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about a commission. Ask him about what his rates are, and he'll tell you what his availability is. And he's gotten around, and he's done a lot of good for a lot of people that way.
Dude, we just picked up a bunch of new backers on Deathsworn.
Oh, thank you guys.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Awesome.
Let me see.
You don't want to miss that book.
And another donation for Richard C. Meyer needs you on GoFundMe. Thank you, everyone. Well, I mean, just thank you. What can I say? I mean, COMICSGATE's really very generous and supportive of all these causes, and then also, you know, the comics that we're putting out. You're making it possible for these books to exist. And I do appreciate it. You know, how can we not appreciate it? How can we thank you guys anymore? I guess get the books out quicker. That's it. That's get the books out quicker.
It's such a pain. I want to find a colorist that can just color like me and not color stuff anymore.
Is it the coloring that you think is slowing you down a little bit?
The color definitely slows me down more than anything else, because I feel like I'm always trying to learn it. Like I never feel like I actually have a full grasp on colors. I feel like I stumble my way through it, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I guess I'd like a writer who was just like me. I mean, that's the thing. Like, people are like, well, you should get a writer, and I'm like, no, but this is too personal. I can't get a writer to do this. I've got to do it myself, because I can't explain what this all means to somebody and then expect them to get it right. And I've tried to do that before. You know, I've tried to actually, you know, work with a writer, and they tend to just take these ideas and just take them off in way different directions. And it kills it. It just kills it, like, in your heart. You know, you're like, that's not what this was meant to be. You've made it into something else. Cyberfrog's an opportunity just to own it, you know, just to do it all yourself.
Yeah, I kind of write on the page as well. You were saying it before, you know, I know where it's going, and I know all the set pieces, and I know all the action highs and the emotional highs and the action lows and the emotional lows or whatever. But like, it's the in-between bits where the real magic comes in, of connecting those, how I'm going to connect those, what's the smartest way of connecting those, do I have to do it quickly now because I'm running out of space? Do I have to do it fast? Do I have to be really smart about it? And that's where, like, I find the real kind of connecting magic comes from, you know.
Dude, we are exactly the same.
You should team up.
I'm totally with you. I mean, I gotta say, we are, you know, that's how I feel about all of this. You know, it's like, you can't, I see it as putting together a movie, and it just, you know, I know what happens in the movie, but I need to draw it out. I need to actually draw it so that these things can actually happen in a special way. I've got let me see here. I don't know. I'm really into just the you know, let me open this up. All right. You'll have to excuse me a second. I'm going to show you a page, and this is from the wow, this is beautiful. God bless Kyle Ritter. I swear to God, I got so lucky when I met Kyle Ritter, and he came to me just like, I want to color your stuff. I was like, you do? Why?
Yeah, he's one of those guys I study now. Like, anything he puts up, I save, and I just study it for colors.
Yeah.
You know?
I decided I wanted to do a 16 panel page for Cyberfrog 1998. Like, this is Heather Swain, her escape, like her survival. And I just thought, like, when you do multiple panel pages, you don't realize this stuff unless you're drawing it while you're doing it. But it just, these beats are just like heartbeats. You know what I mean? And it kind of, this whole page is almost silent. You know, Heather is saying a couple of things here while this is happening to her, but it's like, I don't want to, I can't sit down and write this stuff all at once. I have to draw it. You know, I actually have to draw this stuff out.
Yeah. I always feel like I know the context of it all, but I don't necessarily know the content, you know, like I know the context of the scene, but I don't know exactly what people are going to be saying until it's all done, you know?
Yeah. I know, like I understand the mood, and I understand everyone's motivation. Like I know Heather Swain. Heather Swain is not, Heather Swain is a real character to me. She's a real person. So I know exactly what she's thinking. I know what she thinks of herself. I know what her past is. And I know what goes on in her mind, because I made her up. So keeping all that stuff consistent, making decisions like that, it's so fun. I never want to stop doing this. I never want to stop. I don't want to cede control of any of this to anyone. I want to always be the person who writes Heather Swain. I want to always be the person who writes Cyberfrog. It is great. It is great. I imagine going back to, there's nothing the mainstream has for me anymore.
Especially like, I think that's one of the things CG has over whether indies or mainstream is like, we really care about these guys. Like we really live with these guys, and like really, like I really love Deathsworn. Deathsworn's my favorite place to be, like my favorite universe to be in. And that's sort of what you do as a creator. You don't necessarily escape into other people's work. You escape into your own work, and I know you because I've go back and I listen to your commentaries on your Green Lantern stuff, and like you're like a different guy. Like you're like Sam, kind of sad, and I kind of like know where you were, because like when I got banned from a convention over here and people were all like, talking shite or whatever, but like I felt sick, I felt just empty for weeks, and I couldn't work, I couldn't draw, I couldn't make anything, because I just felt so sick. Like I felt like I just was in a constant state of throwing up. And that's when I realized, like, they want to take my escape. Like my escape is actually going out and creating this stuff and escape into these other worlds and making this stuff for people, making this entertainment. That's my escape. I don't know where I'd be without it. Like that's what I love doing. And those people wanted to take that from us. That's what those people want. They want to remove that from you. They want to make you sick and depressed and fucking sad. And
and it's not just you. It resonates from your work when people read and enjoy it, and that transfers to them. So that's where, like, when we get inspired by reading our favorite comics from back in the day, or anything that we love right now, that energy, it's not exactly the same, but it's the flavor of that energy, and people get to sustain themselves also on our enthusiasm. That's why people look forward to these live streams too. They love the enthusiasm of the creative people get to do their thing, and they carry that into their day. So it's really thousands upon thousands of people that are benefiting anytime you get a chance to do your creative expression. It's the value of art, is that you can inspire other people. I mean, people, even it's really inspired a lot of people. It inspired me to get back to comics publishing, which is what I love and really where I belong. So it's a collaborative process when you get to work with other creators. And Ethan, I'm going to invite you I'll copy you on stuff to observe our process on the redevelopment of G.I. Jackrabbits, because Professor Geek is working with me as a development consultant, meaning he's helping me flesh out my 16-year-old ideas of the characters' backstories and things like that. We have a core group of 4 characters that are kind of like a Fantastic Four of animals. So superpowered animals. So yeah, we'll share it to you, and maybe you wind up with an insight on your creative process, just to be like, oh, I hadn't thought of breaking this into that step. And sometimes doing things in broken up processes just allows you to get some additional leverage on attacking a problem. So sorry, go ahead. It's just interesting.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Fantastic Four with animals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my walrus character is like the Thing.
Yeah.
And then the wind in the emotional group is the Scarlet O'Hare. She's the rabbit, one of the rabbit characters. And then we have the hothead Quickfoot, who's a rabbit.
That's Scarlet O'Hare. That's cultural appropriation. I don't appreciate that.
Well, we're going to
dedicate it. Just hockey caricatures to you.
O'Hara.
I'll get my balaclava and my turf brick out, man. I'll take.
Well, Deathsworn will be in there, guaranteed. Deathsworn's going to be in there.
So when you guys write, do you write out full scripts?
If I write anything, it's just an outline, But
when you're,
I have Deathsworn. Well, oh no, because I do it all digitally. I tend to drop the because I write in Clip Studio too. I letter in Clip Studio, so I'll drop the words in as I'm thumbnailing it out, as I'm drawing it out, and then that's kind of how I go. So no, I never write a full script like that, and then when I send it on to a friend to edit it, to look through it and say, oh, I think that, whatever, then I go back in and change it up. But I do it all on the page. That's what I like about Clip Studio Digital. It's like the really fun way to know how far to go with dialogue and image and play off each other.
Yeah, I do it I draw it all first. I have a rough outline, and then I go over and I write the script afterwards. And I used to get scripts from people that were, heavily detailed with the description. Obviously that becomes unnecessary. Well,
like I ought to have sent this to you, Ethan, and I'm kind of sorry I didn't. When we did the College of the Dead book, I put together an ashcan because the process to me is just so fascinating. The ashcan has the full script and the layouts in it. So I didn't write it, but it was written by Stefan Petruka, as an experienced comics writer. And we ultimately went with a full script with photo references that we gave to the artist. But before that standpoint, Stefan and I, Stefan wrote for me after the discussion a personal history of the main characters, where they were kind of coming from, where they were going to. So these were the people that were appearing in the story, right? So you didn't even see all that story on the page, but Stefan created some of that background. And he wanted me to understand where these characters were coming from. And then he gave me to approve a one-page outline of what the beats of the story were, what was going to be happening in that story, which is great that he did, because there was something in it that he added that was brilliant, but did not work for what I wanted to do, because I wanted a world where there was no magic in it. I just wanted it like the only weird element was one weird element, and it was just that, oops, there's a zombie apocalypse. We don't know how it happened. It just is. So he gave me a one-page outline. I'll find this stuff and copy it to you. And then after that, he went into doing a full script to then review. But what happens at the multiple stages is, when you're starting out, you want to writing. There's so much to writing. Like if you're telling a story that, first of all, you want to tell a story that has a point to it. Maybe it's a story about loss and rebirth. Maybe it's just a story about loss or whatever. So that theme and playing against that theme should exist in a lot of the story. Kyle does it a lot in his colors, but you can create a foundation that is a constraint. It's a limitation. But when you put creative spark in the framework of like limitations, structural, like anatomical story type of limitations to it, it's like putting you can really grow something terrific out of it. It's like properly planting seeds, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you need to have a theme. Cyberfrog's theme is about standing up for yourself. It's about being afraid and not being afraid. That's the recurring theme throughout the entire book. It's Heather Swain says early on in Blood Honey, she says, I ain't afraid of nothing. And she's found herself in that position where she feels safe. But that changes over time. When you actually have that theme to recur to, when people need to stand up for themselves. Otherwise you roll over. It's like when this lecture that's happening here, this is Heather talking about, in the future, Heather talking about why this happened, why the invasion happened in the first place. And from her perspective in the 90s, humanity was so soft that we were practically begging for this. It's like this was a signal that we were sending out into the cosmos that please come conquer us. Please come enslave us. We deserve this. We're ready for this. And when it happened, almost nobody defended themselves. The alien invasion happened and people just kind of succumbed to their doom. Whereas Heather didn't want to. Heather wasn't afraid of anything. So Heather fought. Heather fought hard. She learned fear, in the intervening 20 years. She's going to tell Cyberfrog and Wreck Planet that not a day has gone by since you've been gone that I have not been afraid. Not a day has gone by. This is the thing. Heather ends up finding people who are trying to survive, people who are, at least trying to fight for their lives. If something like this happened, I mean, the question would be, I remember, listening to Jackie Kennedy, answer the question: what would happen if the Soviets launched nuclear missiles at Washington D.C.? What would you do? And Jackie just said, I would pull up a lawn chair with my kids in the front yard, and we just let it happen. And that's it. I mean, it's like, yeah, when you're faced with that kind of a situation, I guess you accept your doom, which is what the human race did when the Vespas came. But some people fought against incredible odds, even without Cyberfrog. Cyberfrog went down swinging. Some people, fought against these odds, and those are the people that Heather Swain wanted to be with. Those are the people who she wanted to stay with, and was grateful for. So, that's a lot of what the Ashcan's about. That's a lot of what Wrecked Planet is about. It's about just learning to sort of find your footing, stand up against this, fight this. It's the theme of my life too.
And what we hope as creative people is that we're sending a message to people to, like, get this, read this, get this. This can be you too. You're not going to be dealing with an alien invasion. It doesn't mean it's not going to feel like your world is ending sometimes. So get around the kind of people that will fight to get out of a situation. Don't just accept failure. Don't give up when it comes to challenges. And those themes, resonate hopefully throughout the work. And hopefully people do take a lesson. With great power comes great responsibility. We think about that kind of thing in the back of our mind sometimes. And sometimes people read a story at just the perfect time in their lives, and they're like, yeah, you know what? I can deal with this. I can do this. It's unconscious sometimes, and sometimes it's somewhat conscious too. But that's the kind of work that we're putting out there. That's
COMICSGATE.
Hashtag COMICSGATE forever.
Fight back, everyone. So I want to tell everyone once more, make sure that you first and foremost, support Death Sworn, book 1 by Carl O. Rowe. Look at that. You jumped up a little bit. You're at 792. I'm going to hit it again. Is there any chance that we got another? Oh, yes, we did. Look at this, Carl. 22.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much.
I think you made like $500.
Yeah. And I think we're over 400 backers now, that's amazing, because my dream way out there goal, like could not reachable goal was 500 backers. Like if it came to ship it and I had to ship out 500 books, I'd be over the moon about it. And we're getting up there, man. It's incredible.
It's going to happen. I think it's definitely going to happen. I want to tell people to support Vestige #1, the graphic novel. I'm doing the cover for this. We sold a few of those as well. They're at $62,260. Thank you for doing that.
You have to get Ethan's cover. I don't think people realize this about these books. Like, this is not like collecting variant cover on like a Justice League book with Ethan on it. This is a small print independent book with an Ethan Van Sciver cover. Like, you have to pick this up. It's the same thing with John Malin covers or even Kyle Ritter covers. Like, these are going to be huge,
Yeah, and Donald DeLay interiors on this. So this is a quality book. I never talk about the writers, because I'm an artist. I only think about artists. But
yeah, well, did you see that page with the sword cutting through a building that Donald did?
Dude, oh my God.
I was like, I've never seen Donald draw like that before in my life. I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. It was so it was almost like an anime. It was just like this crazy action, from this tiny little energy source, just all this destruction. It was insane.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that too. That blew my mind. So trust me, this book is going to be phenomenal. The artwork is phenomenal, and Gat Hanzo is a great writer. So it's going to be a fun read, and I've got the cover on it. So that'll make. Let's see, what have I done covers for? I've done covers for the 2 Jawbreakers books, and then this. I'm going to do a cover for Oddity, and that's it. If people want to reach out to me and find out if I want to do covers, I could. I'm expensive, but you can reach out to me about that. I wouldn't mind doing a few more covers. Cyberfrog Blood Honey, of course, the line art variants. Make sure that you pick up one of these. And Ribbit Coin. This is after the Vespas come. This is our currency, so make sure that you get some Ribbit Coin. I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. You know, wow, it was fun. It's fun to talk about this stuff. It's fun to sell comics and make fun of Mark ZAID, who is going to get cut to ribbons. I mean, the media is going to eat him alive. It's going to be hilarious. I'm so glad it couldn't happen to. Is he a douchebag? Let me think about it. Well,
it's pretty bad. He's based in DC, which makes me think the whole COMICSGATE thing or the anti-COMICSGATE thing starts in DC.
Do you think so?
He is connected to powerful people. He's a bit of a wacko. This ZAID, who they sometimes call ZAID. Whatever they do, they call it. If you listen on the news every now and then, like every fifth time. So it's sort of like he must have already called in and been like, no, it's not ZAID, it's ZAID, which is fine. But anyway, yeah, he's in the bowels of DC with all these weird DC connections. And what's he doing connected up with Mark ZAID? Yes, he's into comics, but I don't know. I think the COMICSGATE is up against powerful people, and I think that's how they got as far as they did with doing some of the crazy stuff they did. But yeah, ZAID will get torn to ribbons for sure.
Stand up and fight back. We are against powerful people. We're against the entire industry, and then some of our own who wouldn't just stand with us and fight. And that makes me sad every single day. You know, when we're up against what we're up against, and we're having internal squabbles, and some of our own won't find love and brotherhood. We want to pick at each other. I don't want to fight them too. I only want to fight this one group of people, the entire world.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight you guys too. So it makes me sad that we're not all standing together. But at the end of the day, the fight doesn't end just because you know, we internally don't always get along. We still have. We would be in denial to think that COMICSGATE is dead.
They're still out there, and there are people around the edges of this that are still scared of it. And like there's a guy from Ireland who was doing a crowdfunded book, and it was a really, really super humble goal, and they made it, but you know, it's not enough for anybody to live a weekend on. And he contacted me and said, you know, how do I promote this stuff? How do I do this? And I said, well, look, dude, like, I can get you on shows. I can get you on Wenger's show, and if you get on, you have some fun and you joke around, and if you can do that, then people will start asking you all the other stuff, and you'll get in. You'll start promoting your book. And he was like, I said, you know, it comes with some shit. Like, you're gonna take some shit from this if you do this. And that's why I really respect people that come out and say I'm CG, especially people who are starting off. Like, if you're, you know, in your 40s and you never really dabbled in comics, and then you come in and you start making independent comics, it's like, okay, whatever. But when you're like a young guy up and coming, you don't know what path you're going to take in this crazy industry, and you're like, I'm CG, fuck you. Like, I'm going to do this. And I really respect that now after this shit I went through over here. So and I said, you know, you're going to take some shit. If you come and play with us, you're going to get some shit. And he was like, oh, you know, maybe I'll leave it for a year. You know, it's things are already getting better. Maybe I'll leave it for a year. And that's where I'm like, again, we're not the ones that have to be accepted. We're not the weirdos. We're not the people making abnormal stuff. We are the true blue comics. That's what COMICSGATE is.
We're the guys they couldn't kill.
Yeah, and so they're all around there. You know, they're young guys coming up are still afraid of this, you know, and just because we're not getting attention from the weirdo mainstream people, that's because we succeed. That's because we humiliate them. That's how good we are, but they're still there, you know. And I think people need to remember that the enemies are still at the gates. You know, some people kind of got in and got successful and thought like, oh, all the success revolves around me. And it's like, no, dude, it's all of us working together to make this successful, make this cool. We have to be the new cool. We have to be the new punk. That's not out there anymore.
Hail Carl Rowe. I think you guys probably want to support him after that. Go to Death Swarm Book 1 and back Carl, man. Make him succeed. Get him to 20. Oh, you're past 23, dude. You just passed 23,000. You're 407 awesome, backers, $23,013. good for you. And that's, I think, what standing up for your principles will do for you. So you're the man. All right, let me read these super chats and see what people are saying. Let's see. Peter Gilmore got you. Spartan Scotsman said, no drawing fire, or did I just derp and miss it? Yeah, I don't think I don't think we wanted to do a drawing show last night. I don't know what happened. Ink for Incorporated says an all-female version of the Jawbreakers would be the Ball Busters. Got to get your boy in on a stream. God King, he's about to ship.
I actually had an idea for that. Oh, sorry, but no, I had a funny. It was just a really loose sketched character designs of it, but I was kind of doing a manga version of that. I think I call it Jawbeaners or something stupid, but yeah, it was going to be about Richard not being able to escape this group of female jawbreakers that are just in love with him. You know, like they just he moves out into the middle of like a Mexican desert and they just show up at his house. They're like, we love you, Richard, please come back.
By the way, I looked in, I was like, oh, well, maybe Zach is messaging me. Zach just told me that Jim Jeffries got canceled. So everything's coming up COMICSGATE. That is awesome. All of our enemies fall at our feet. Skits Comics says, sending you a new Cyberfrog painting on Twitter. Look for it. Support Skits Comic, coming soon. I want to see the new Cyberfrog painting. General John N. Wallace says, Hail Caesar, good morning. God bless and thank you for morning entertainment. How much for a cover do you usually charge? Well, we can talk about that in private, John. Micah D2 says, Mark S. Zaid is also openly calling for a coup against the presidency of the USA. F this guy. Yeah, as Trump pointed out, that was hilarious. Snarkticon DM says, I'll buy 3 Fix This Now shirts. We should do it. Let's put that on a shirt. So Mark Wade people can wear those to a convention. And Mark Wade can have to face his idiocy. This is the way you talk to people in private.
I want someone to get a photo of Mark Wade and they're wearing a t-shirt that says I survived Mark Wade or something.
All right. Bavolsky says, this be the 3rd time I've tuned into you recounting this story live. Every fucking time. It's the best. Do the shirt. Okay, so people do want the Mark Wade shirt. I'll send that over right away to Crypto Fashion. Snarkticon DM says, make it shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve, and hoodies. All right, everybody wants the shirt. I got it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. I think I could probably make a few bucks off it, and it's funny.
Yeah, Fix This Now, actually.
You need one with no sleeves for Micah.
If you think, well, he can rip the sleeves off of it, of course. But if you think about it, Fix This Now also works if you don't know the backstory as a shirt. Yeah, just somebody walking around, Fix This Now, exclamation point. Like, all right, well, it's just a frustrated person with a cool phrase. So thanks to Mark for that one. Yeah.
Cute Nerd says, include your soy boy drawing on the Fix This Now on a shirt. I'd buy it. When will you get to the Rainbow Brute book? Next year-ish. We'll see. I'm like, as you can see, I'm in the Cyberfrog head frame. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to leave that when I always get like, you get distracted when you start thinking about other projects. Or
we call that in
development.
So
much into it. Yeah.
It's in development.
Yeah. David Sutherland is a new member. Hey, thank you for joining. George Peter Gatsis says, Uncle E, Joe King comic is at the printers. Please help boost up some more backers at George Peter Gatsis website. There's a digital option too. Okay, so go check out Joe King on Indiegogo. Snarkticon DM says, want to hear Trump say these people sue for rainbow dongs? I do too.
I want to hear him say free pan.
Free pan. If COMICSGATE and War Campaign was judged based on its enemies, people would think we're short, stupid, and half gay. Hail COMICSGATE, hail Caesar, hail War Campaign. Thank you, The Fuzz. Peter Gilmore says, join the mailing list for upcoming sexy retro sci-fi comic Rocket Gal and the Mole Men of Mars by myself and Wyatt Holiday at rocketgalcomic.com. Narwhal Book says, I lurked a bit as I was winding down. You guys are too kind. Much love and hail to all except Mark Zaid, Esquire. Daddy Duder Pops Culture says, hail Uncle E, Adam and Carl, good evening from Tokyo. Love ninjas, love mountain frogs, then check out Nin Nin Ninny on Indiegogo. All right. Queen Bee's here. She says, sorry, E, but Cyberfrog is not a contract with God. What Cyberfrog is my gift from God. Thank you, EBS, and God bless. Heart frog emoji. Thank you, Queen Bee. We love you. Tacticon DM says, you make GI Mogwai. Dude, I'm totally gonna promote your GI Jackrabbits book. We need
Oh,
our own
excellent.
book. I mean, that'll be huge. We'll make that book sell.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, God of Plague says Comicsgate got me excited for comics again. Ron Crossman says, do you think you could number the proof copies? What, by hand? I mean, maybe. That's a thought. God King female version, Yas Queen. Vince Garrett says, just got my Cyberfrog art page. Was so excited to see what page I got. When I opened it, total disappointment in the girly squill I let out. Love it. Okay. show it online. I think people are getting their original art pages today.
Oh, beautiful.
Snarkticon DM says, put the effin in there too with the Cubert swear. Yeah, that's the thing. The T-shirt, should they say fucking on it or not?
Fix this now.
Oh, you know what you should do is, instead of using like the little star sign to block out the U, and fucking use the image of the soy boy drawn.
Just like bleep it out with the soy boy.
Yeah, he sort of looks like that because his hair has that sort of starry pattern, So if you put him in place of a U, people would go, "Oh, fucking,"
I think just one really big iconic fix this now in comic lettering with exclamation point, pointing off the side, whatever, with a word balloon, and then the other one, you do it, edit it as you have to edit it. But I fix this now. I mean, that should be. I don't know if someone has that domain yet, but that's a brand.
Well, I don't want to own the Fix It Now. That is a brand, but I think what I want to do is I literally just want to put this on a T-shirt. I want to put
the exact exchange.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's outrageous. Like, just take this and clip it out and just put this on a black T-shirt. I mean,
yeah, that works.
But I mean, this is the thing. People want fucking. How many times does he say the F word? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, you might actually need to change it. So that would be a good place for you to change the word, because you might have to make it transformative. Otherwise, you'll get sued.
I'm not
No. I don't think. Well, let him sue. What's the damages? But two versions. There's a perfect for variant. You've got the not safe for work, and you've got the for work. People have the word effing on their shirts. See, I can't say because I get in trouble.
Yeah.
No, but people do have that on shirts. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could do it. I could do probably a safe for work and a not safe for work. I mean, some people probably want. See, the fact that the word is on there so many times is what makes this so crazy. And by the way,
that's the art.
Yeah, I was asleep when he sent me this exchange. Like, I was taking a nap, and that was a nice interview I had with Mark Waid. And I woke up to this bullshit, and I was just like, what is your problem? And he did this, and then he sent me a whole email exchange too. Like, he filled up my emails with more stuff, telling me he wanted to fuck my fans with a rusty chainsaw, all that kind of stuff. All this, I guess this belongs on a T-shirt or.
Well, the only thing is you look at it, you decide how much of it is funny and it's history. The question is how much of it does it bring anything else up again, or does it interfere with Richard in some way? Is it going to get ZAID or ZAID going to bring this up in court? Look, he's violating my clients, whatever. Who knows? I don't know if Mark, if Richard would get any heat for this. So, I mean, if you want to be sensible about it, then you go through all those permutations. Otherwise, more like me, you just kind of just do it. And be like, all right, it's done. Let's go do something else now.
I don't know if I want to be sensible about it.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's just we already spent too much time discussing it. So just let's get it out, get it executed. And if it has to get pulled down, gets pulled down.
Yeah, I would go, if I was doing it, I'd just go in and cut cut all the text bubbles and the heads and stuff out, and leave the background transparent, and then just print out on a T-shirt.
Oh, I like that idea. Yeah. Yeah,
because it would look cool. I think that would it draws your eyes in, so people would actually, if people saw it in person, they'd be like, "What this nuts?" And then they have to read it.
Name in. I would leave this Mark Waid, but I would change the photograph, because I don't know if I'm allowed to put a photograph of Mark Waid on a T-shirt. Then again, why wouldn't I be allowed? He's a public figure. If I wanted to make a Donald Trump T-shirt, I could with his image on it. Why couldn't I put Mark Waid's image on a T-shirt? I'm not sure.
you know, somebody sends a letter if they're angry. Well, he'll send quite a funny message. Yeah, just for the additional correspondence and the content. Why not? Why not just do it as is?
Now,
and be like,
part
you
two.
guys will not believe the message that Mark Wade sent me. You've got to see this. And there you go. It's another live stream.
I think what we could do is, yeah, I would put, maybe I could put the soy boy here, or I could do something else. I don't know.
See, this is where it gets difficult. It's like,
maybe do a Mark Wade variant on the soy boy. Like do the same drawing, but
Carl, if you spent an hour finishing this concept, do you think you'd have something very presentable? Like if you just were to work on it, Carl?
I was busy.
Are you offering me a job? Because I have work to do, dude. I have stuff I need to get done.
Yeah.
I don't think pissing off Mark Wade is at the top of my priorities right now. As much as I'd love to do it.
That's on the top of my priorities, though.
There you go.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Everyone, I want to thank you all for being here today. I think we're caught up with super chats. Let me just double check that real quick. Yeah. Okay, so we're all caught up with super chats. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending some time. And get out there today and work on your comics. Support some COMICSGATE projects. Be supportive of other creators. Retweet their campaigns. Do the things that are going to make make COMICSGATE a little bit stronger. Appreciate all of you being here. And I will see you again later. I'll probably do another live stream today. We'll see. All right,
fantastic.
Bye-bye.